welcome to the Netherkast. I am Cyborg, and I am joined, as always, by Temp Razor and Shad. And this, if you are not familiar with what the Nethercast is a long-running podcast, Mortal Kombat podcast, I should say, going all the way back to 2014. We started in the lead-up to Mortal Kombat X. So, funnily enough, right before a big content drought for about 3 months. So, that was great timing on our part. But yeah, the whole idea of this podcast was to entertain all of you, all the listeners, all the Mortal Kombat fans out there, to entertain you as we lead up to the game, because you're not always getting content. So it's something to look forward to each week. So if you're new to us, hey, make sure you like the video and subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. And we're putting out all sorts of Mortal Kombat content. In addition to that, we also do live streams each week on Fridays. So check those out, where we're playing Mortal Kombat, all the various Mortal Kombat games, and engaging with all of you who come out for the live stream in the chats. And we do various other things like character retrospectives, the Lost podcast, where you learn all about the lore, deep dives into the lore. We do it all here, as well as videos like content creators put out on YouTube. We do that as well. So yeah, stick around. That being said, oh yeah, and we also have a Discord community. Check that out in the description. And then on the screen right now, you should also be able to see all of our Twitters. So follow us all on Twitter. And yeah, I think that's all the plugs. So let's get to the actual meat and potatoes of this episode. And that is in regards to the roster for Mortal Kombat 1. We did a dream roster kind of video based on our dream roster scenario a few months back, before we even knew what Mortal Kombat 1 was or would be. We had an idea of that, it's going to be a reboot of some sort, but we didn't know if it was going to be a retelling of Mortal Kombat 1 through 3, if it's going to go to the Great Kung Lao era, or if it's going to be a continuation from Mortal Kombat 11, and yada, who knew? So we weren't entirely sure, but we gave what our dream scenarios were. We're not going to be doing that in here necessarily. This is going to be more like, now that we know kind of what's in store for the game, we at least have a synopsis that Liu Kang is creating everything from scratch, and relationships will change, roles will change, characters can be different, and hopefully we see more 3D era characters, and we're not necessarily doing a retelling, rather it's something all new on its own. With that in mind, I figured we would revisit it, but this time, instead of each of us giving, our dream rosters, so to speak, we are going to combine our efforts into forming who we would like to see on the base roster, DLC, and cameos, and then who will be sitting out. So on your screen right now, you'll see a tier maker. And on the base roster, we are going to limit it to 25 characters total. And already 9 of them are filled out, and those are the ones that are already confirmed on the websites or in the reveal trailer. So we're doing this ahead of the gameplay reveal. So we're going off the knowledge that we currently have, though not including any of the leaks. We're just going to ignore anything like that and just go in blind, as if we don't know anything like Combat Pack 1 or anything like that. So, yeah, we'll be forming who we would like to see, not necessarily who we're predicting, just to make that clear. We're going to form a base roster of 25, 10 cameos, and those cameos of the 10 are non-playable cameos. So at least who we think by the end of the cycle of the game, when it's all said and done, 10 characters that will be comprised of non-playable characters, but will be cameos, as well as 9 DLC characters. And why 9? Because let's say they give us 15 DLC characters over the span of the lifespan of this game, which will be 3 more than what we got in Mortal Kombat 11. I figure 9 is a pretty safe bet and follows the pattern that we got with Mortal Kombat 11 7. So if they did 1 more DLC pack, we would have gotten 2 more Mortal Kombat characters, thus the 9. So just to make all of that clear. All right, all the explanation out of the way. Let's get to it. So I don't know if we want to go character by character, how we want to do this, or if we want to just start spouting off who we think are obvious inclusions that we all agree with, or we just want to throw out a name one by one. How do you guys want to do this?
We could do a mix of both. I mean, I think there's a lot of characters who we all just think should be there. Yeah.
No, go on. Sorry, my bad.
Smoke. I was just going to say Smoke.
Yeah, we should just start by putting Smoke on the main roster.
Go for the quick
one.
Yeah. Go for the quick wins. I can agree with that. So let's. Oh yeah, and these portraits are different from our tier rankings before. Check out that, because those are a great series. But yeah, this is, if you notice, they're by like when the character first appeared, which I thought was kind of fun, because then we kind of get an idea of which game we're representing as we build this out, because ideally we kind of have some good representation across the board to some degree. Anyway, smoke. Looks like we got cyber smoke. Plus, this one has a non-zombie looking, but it does have, instead of Triborg, it has cyber sub. So maybe we should just use cyber sub as Triborg.
That works.
Anyways,
well, why
smoke.
don't we put that one right in the bottom?
Sit
right
out.
now. Sit out. There we go.
Yeah, that's fair.
Get it out of the way.
I actually wouldn't at all be surprised if that turned out to be a cameo.
Triborg?
I feel like they're gonna, yeah, Triborg or Cybersub. I feel like canon or storyline is not going to be of any major import. They're just going to throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks. I think the cameos are going to be like a no holds barred kind of thing.
Oh, well, and before we get, go ahead.
So gameplay wise, Triborg. I mean, if Sector and Cyrax are already both in either on roster or as cameos, then a Triborg cameo, because a cameo isn't going to have a whole robust amount of moves it can do, right? So it's going to have too much overlap to be worth it, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
And in best case scenario, the cameos, we don't really know how they're going to be implemented, but the ideal scenario that's been floated out there is like how they were used in Marvel vs. Capcom 1. And Temp, you can attest to this because you probably know this more than I would, but just from my knowledge and understanding of it, is the ideal scenario is cameos aren't just there for window dressing. It's not like, hey, Cabal shows up and it's cool that he's on screen and he does a quick little special. They're supposed to be more than just there for fluff. They're supposed to be there to actually serve a real role and purpose. There's supposed to be a real reason why you would choose this character versus another character, and not necessarily gravitate just to the character you like, but who might actually be good for the matchup and give you, let's say you're going up against a zoner, so you have a cameo that's intended to counter zoning. Am I correct on something like that?
Yeah, that's correct. That wasn't Capcom's intention. As a matter of fact, assists are random in Marvel 1 unless you know the secret code that you saw in like GamePro. If you don't know that code, your assist is random. But yeah, some assists are great for neutral. Some assists are great for like Okazemi. Other assists are great for lockdown. Colossus did everything, so a lot of people pick him. I like Psylocke because some supers in Marvel 1 are only possible if you have an assist like Psylocke. Right. So I just throw Psylocke on the screen. It's like, I choose you, and then Psylocke comes out. And if they get hit, Venom Web. If they don't get hit, or if they block it, then I just kind of like wave dash in. So yeah, you're precisely right.
Yeah, I think the example I've been giving, which I probably heard from, I want to say Max or somebody when he was first describing what he thinks they could be, is you get somebody like Moloch or Tor, like a big brute type, and his whole like role, why you would choose him, is when he comes on the screen, he basically forms a screen for you that slowly charges across the screen, so it gives you time to move in while that character tanks the hits for you. So he's an anti-zoner to allow you to get in on them. So if it's that kind of setup, then I think these could be a lot of fun and be really cool.
I think they'll be robust. I think they will absolutely do all sorts of shit.
Yeah, I'm sort of expecting they'll have like multiple moves. Like if you like whatever button triggers them to come out, if it's like that and a face button, then there's 4 potential attacks right there. They could any one of those 4, something like that.
I also think they'll replace mechanics. Like in MKX, we had a sort of like I guess a V reversal is what I would call it, but it's like, a block reversal where you're under pressure and you do an input and spend 2 bars of meter to burst the opponent away. Well, instead, that's going to be Fat Blaze with the chair. It's going to have the same function, but it's going to be Fat Blaze with the chair.
But just to reiterate, we're not trying to predict the roster. We're saying the one that we would like.
Yes.
And so
right.
I want to.
It's called MK1. I throw Goro on there as well. Since this good game is called MK1.
So you want Goro though? We're not predicting Goro. So you.
I think you should be there. Yeah.
This is what we want, not what we're going to get.
Are we all in agreement with Goro?
I'm good with Goro.
Okay. Good with Goro as well.
I want Goro under a monster.
I'm gonna.
It would just be strange if he wasn't there.
Mortal Kombat 1 here. Okay.
I think we could all put Havoc on there too. What do you guys think?
Yes, we definitely want Havoc.
I would like Havoc.
Yes.
Reiko probably too. Even though I'm not the biggest Reiko fan, he should be there.
Reiko.
Like, it is a preference thing, but it's also like I feel like the people have been asking for some things long enough, so
I mean, it's been a long time, and so when you think of like the 3D era characters who people would like to see back the most, yeah.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
I know that we all want Motaro back, but we know it's not going to happen as a main roster, right?
No, Motaro
I think
is
he's
probably
probably
put
a
him in-
cameo.
He's our first official cameo.
Well,
I think it's a good cameo though. Like that's an actual like one that I think if they can't get this character to work as a playable character, which is I mean, there's with all the crazy things that you can do in the game, I can understand why that's a struggle. I think a cameo is a great option, especially if it means he can still have story presence.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets him in there, I'm okay. Like, there are people who are mad that cameos exist because it means their main will potentially not be playable, and I'm like, I don't care about that. I care about getting as many possible characters into the game, and especially the story, as is possible.
And you know, adding on to that and piggybacking on that thought, people have thrown out this idea, and even going back to when we did our roster prediction game back in January, I want to say, uh, it's the idea of this could be an all-in game. As crazy as that is, like it's just nearly impossible with today's technology to make like fully fleshed out characters of 78 characters like that out of the gate anyways. So if they want to capture that though and really celebrate the 30th anniversary or this ongoing celebration of the 30th anniversary that's been going on for a year now basically, if they want to capitalize on that and make this like the love letter to all these characters and the fans out there as like, you know, it's kind of like Smash, even though not every character can be playable, but they're at least going to have a presence here when DLC is all said and done. Because we know they're going to add like more cameos and stuff as the game progresses. So if the idea is to get almost every character in the game in some form or fashion, like Razor was saying, I think that's cool. Because I think that's more. I don't think we are fully aware of how much we're going to appreciate that when we're there. I think the initial shock of is my favorite character going to be relegated to a cameo? I mean, I was through that thought. I was very concerned at first of like, okay, what if Cyrax is a cameo? Does that mean he can't be DLC later down the line of playable? I don't necessarily believe that anymore. Now I think anything's possible, and Temp has been saying that from the start that they're likely to take the data of who's being used most as cameos and still make them, you know, later on in combat packs potentially as playable. And if playable characters can have cameo versions as well, then I would say that's already kind of logically confirmed. But yeah, I think I guess my ultimate point of mentioning that is to circle back is I think we're undervaluing how much that we're gonna appreciate that. Going back and playing like MK4, Deadly Alliance, and Deception recently on the live streams, being able to just see all these characters get updated models, hopefully some updated designs, a role here, and potentially also be included in like a conquest or story because they are a cameo. Just being able to see them in the game and used in the game, have some sort of role, will feel special, I think.
Well, my point of view has always been like I remember back to MKX and how there were people who were mad that like Lee May and Serena and Rain didn't really like they weren't playable even though they were in the story, and I always thought that was kind of a ridiculous thing to feel because I absolutely understand wanting to play as those characters, but you can't tell a good story without NPCs.
Yeah.
Like at the very least, when you're in a like a group setting of like the special forces base and you've got Sonya and Jax there need to be like other soldiers in the base. The room can't be empty.
Not to just detract on a tangent from this, but I do feel like the people who did want Rain in had a large point because
in Rain,
hang on. You and I, we correlate how much we want a character to be present, how often, with how present they are in the story. Based on that alone, Rain had 10 times more reason to be a part of the main roster than Lua Katana did, because Lua Katana did literally nothing throughout that entire game.
Yes.
All I'm saying is, I see their point.
I will grant, in the case of Rain, based on how much he's used in story mode, he absolutely should have been main roster.
Yeah.
And most of the Revenants should have been NPCs. Like, Kung Lao does nothing in MKX. There's no reason he should have been playable other than people like Kung Lao.
All fair points for sure. And
I
good
also just want
call-outs.
transparency too. If a character's in a story trailer and we don't know if she's based or not, just tell us if she's based. That's all I ask. If she's not based, it's fine. Hey, that's cool. I'm perfectly fine with cameos. Of all, but yeah, it's whatever. What's up, Chad?
But going back to this, I brought up Motaro specifically because we brought up the point that this isn't what we're predicting. This is who we want.
Yes.
Thing is, we want Motaro, but we know it's not going to happen. So, does Motaro belong in our base roster section, or does he belong in Cameo?
Here's my tension there. If we had to pick, who do we choose, Kentaro or Motaro? Because I don't think both make sense.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, it being a reboot and us being reintroduced to all those characters, I don't really think of Motaro as a first story guy.
I'm thinking DLC for Kentaro. I think you'd be a great DLC character.
Yeah, I can rock with that. I think again
so
that
let's
makes
put him
more
here
sense.
for now, and we'll argue this once we get down to like limited slots left. We can always argue actual who makes the cut, but I think he would be great to introduce as DLC, as a hype DLC character, reintroduce this character to people, and maybe even in a story expansion if they do another like aftermath type scenario, and then set him up for the next game, hopefully. But yeah, I think he would be
an ideal selection.
I'm perfectly happy to have Motaro in the Cameo spot because I never necessarily wanted to play as him. I just wanted him to get some screen time.
Yeah.
And you gotta be conscious of how many roster slots you've got. There's so many characters.
Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way.
Yeah,
and probably this one as well.
That I was gonna say next.
There are two blazes. I noticed there's two blazes. How do we want to handle that?
We can dump all the blazes. None of them need to show up.
I want Thin Blaze main roster and Fat Blaze Cameo.
No,
so you can play the team of Blaze and Blaze.
Yes.
Let me think.
There's only one Blaze and he's hungry.
Okay, and then before we get too far, are we happy with this 10 cameos? That's probably undershooting how many we'll actually get when everything is said and done.
No, I think we need to jack that up hard. I really do.
There's only like 7 to 10 cameos and the system doesn't make sense. That's how I feel. So
yeah.
Well, hold on. So logistically, if we're gonna get some playables as cameos, I'm not including those in here. Obviously, we can't dual. We can't put Sub-Zero in both categories for the sake of this. I'm saying these are 10 just cameos for the life of the game, but I would imagine we're gonna get more than just 10 pure cameo characters. Do we want to go up to 15?
Yes.
Does that feel more fair?
Feels more comfortable to me.
Okay.
If there's less than 15, then that's a big criticism of the game, in my opinion. But I guess it's a different.
Well, like I said, we're not counting also people that are going to be playable. We're just counting pure cameo at the end of the day. I think 15 just cameos that aren't also playable, I think is a healthy number when everything's said and done.
And we are assuming that everyone who is playable also has a cameo.
What was that, Shed?
We are assuming that everyone who is playable also has a cameo.
I'm actually assuming the opposite. I think it's going to be zero. I don't think anyone playable is going to have a cameo. I think they're putting all those resources on fan-requested characters.
Now, are you saying that base roster, like when the game launches, we're not going to have anybody playable? Then they're going to add some of the playables that are more popular as cameos.
Per request.
I strongly believe that we're going to see the cameo system used in story mode to have a team of Scorpion and Sub-Zero. So you'll be playing a Scorpion with a Sub-Zero cameo or playing a Sub-Zero with a Scorpion cameo.
I could see maybe like a third of the roster getting it at base, like of the actual playable characters also getting a cameo, and those are going to probably be more, like Razor said, based on story necessity, and those who are probably like more popular, like Scorpion, Sub-Zero for sure will get ones out of the gate, whereas somebody like, I don't know, Reiko may not be a cameo right out of the gate.
I think they would only do it by necessity, though. I think that would be the exception, not the rule. Because if my theory is correct, the cameos are going to be very intricate. They're going to be pretty packed. So
if it's the main gimmick of the game and a selling point, then I agree with you. That's why I'm kind of excited by them, because I don't think it's just going to be like, here's your character. They made a small little appearance. There you go. Here's your little cookie. Like, I think they really are. I expect them to have their own select screen and have the announcer say their name. Maybe their model even does an animation like the normal characters. And then when they pop in, they have multiple things and options, and they're going to have like their own mechanic, or maybe even alternate attires for the cameos that you can unlock. God forbid, I will say one
Rings.
thing I hope that they don't do, and that I'm very scared that they will do, is please don't go a mobile game type of, like, where you get bronze chameleon, silver chameleon, gold chameleon, diamond chameleon, where it's more of like a,
Blackest Night Chameleon.
4-star chameleon, where like the cameos themselves have like stats and buffs and consumables.
Well, yeah, at that point it becomes pay to win.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm talking about more
if
like the
you're- if
one
you're,
player. That would definitely not be in like the ranked online
If
play,
you're
I
like
would assume. But
doing some kind of random roll to unlock a cameo, and there are multiple versions of a character with different strength, then you can just spend the currency to keep re-rolling, and
Yeah.
that's pay to win.
I'm worried they're gonna do that, and that's gonna be how they pad it out this time, especially if they don't like go heavy into the gear. Which this is all just speculation. This is based on nothing. I'm just purely throwing out theories or ideas that I'm concerned by. As I really hope they don't, for a lack of a better word, bastardize the cameos. Like, this has the potential to be something really awesome. Just please don't turn it into the thing that we're going to make you grind out for in this game.
Oh my, you're not going to grind for them, you're going to pay for them. There's going to be packs and packs and packs of them. You know that.
Well, I'm fine with more being added in DLC packs. That's fine, as long as they're worth it. Like, if it's like Tempsane, where they're very intricate and elaborate, whatever. I'll pay for cameos just like I'll pay for, DLC characters that I want. At least they're Mortal Kombat characters. But don't make them like a mobile game experience, was my only point there. Don't make this where you have to get like tiered versions of a character, and I just have the crappy version of the character as a cameo because I haven't played this challenge tower 800 times to get the premiere version of it. Like, that would suck.
I think we'll be okay. I think the more likely scenario is that you're gonna have to grind out loot boxes for like different chairs Blaze can hit you with. I think that's more likely.
If it's aesthetic stuff, whatever. We've already been down that road. I just don't make it consumables. Anyways, small rant.
I was going to toss
All right,
out there.
so-
Do y'all want to just dump all the combat kids in the sit out?
You know
I
what?
would
No,
put
not
maybe.
really.
I'd put maybe a couple. Well, let's see. Let's see where we get to, because maybe the cameo slots get
I would
or even
accept,
DLC.
I would accept like characters who don't have a place in story as DLC.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I think
that's
we're
a
gonna
good
get
point. Okay,
non-canon DLC, and I'm
I
open to
figured
that.
there's a DLC.
All right,
Anyways,
let's,
so
let's
who
get
else
back to
are
this.
who else are quick wins and who are quick
Reptile.
We both want.
sit-outs?
We all want Cyrax and Sector main roster again.
Yeah.
Yes. So
That is-
Reptile can go in
We
here.
do want that, yes.
We want Reptile. We want Cyrax and Sector. Let's get them in here. Cyrax, Sector. Where you at? There you go. Okay.
Serena.
Look at all
how
those
do y'all
3
feel
Nuggets
about-
bugs.
I want Serena main roster.
I like how
you know.
this makes him look at Cyrax. It's just like, what?
Stop killing yourself, bro. It's a little Cyrax support group up there, is what it is. We're here for you.
It's very, does anyone want this last slice of pizza kind of face. So,
Hey guys, I'm up here too. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
So I mean, you know me, Serena's a day one main if possible.
Yeah, Serena should
I
be
am-
on there.
If you give me the choice, I am going to absolutely say that she should be main roster. It's long overdue.
I predict Cameo, but I
Yes.
think I want main roster.
So do I. It's the same thing. This is why I asked the
I-
question about Mataro.
I'll
Because we're all
settle for
predicting.
Cameo, but it's not what I want.
Yeah, if she's a cameo base roster, she better be one of the ones that's like right on the setup for DLC and like as fast as possible, because that's an injustice. I'd put that right up there with like the cyborgs being cameos. So
We're actually almost done with base roster. Unfortunately, we only have
gosh,
like
this is
7
where
choices
it's gonna get
left.
tough. Yeah. So we
Yeah,
had
I imagine
1, 2,
someone's
3,
coming off
4, 5,
eventually,
6,
but
7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
You know,
12, 13, 14,
it's
15,
probably
16,
too late for
17.
this,
So we got
but
8 more slots.
personally, I would have made our new human Raiden a cameo.
We know that
Yeah,
I'd be fine
we
with that.
we're going off of the 9 that we have, but yeah, I
Mm.
agree.
Okay, you know what? Let's narrow things down a bit. Let's just throw people in who we absolutely want to be cameos and not base roster. Let's just do that. I know that none of us want like Jarek as main roster. Would we be happy with him as cameo?
I don't know.
I can just throw Jarek out completely.
Yeah,
honestly.
Jarek could just be a sit out for me. I'm not like Oh
Even
man,
if he
I
does
can't wait to
the
see all those black dragons again.
even if he
I
does
think,
the
like-
the yell as he's like charging across the screen or anything like that.
I mean,
Never.
if they could do something fun with it, I don't know.
I wouldn't be mad if he showed up, but if I'm making like my own ice cream sundae here,
Like,
he's not there.
I'm just
I just
thinking
feel like
that
he's the
if they have a scenario where Kano's main roster and you get some of his Black Dragon buddies as cameos to go with him, Jarek's not my first pick. Like Tremor and Cabal are before that.
I would say if there's a character under Shad's logic, if there's a character I want specifically as a cameo, I would say Nightwolf.
I mean, it's a good cameo pick, yeah.
I think that'll make everyone happy because I hate to say it, but for all my favorites, there's no room for Nightwolf right now.
I mean,
He's,
I like him,
I
but
don't
there
think
are-
he's going to be
there are-
DLC because he was
So
just
let me-
DLC. So
Let me put something out there. So I don't know, like it feels unrealistic to ask for Fujin after we just got him and with a game where they're putting heavy focus on someone else as a god. So maybe Fujin is a good cameo.
I agree.
Nah, really? I think he
Well,
should
I
be
think-
base roster.
I want him to be based.
I'd
roster,
like
This
him
is
to
what
be
we
base
want. This is
roster, I
what we
just-
want. Remember, this is what we want. This
But
is
there's
not
also only
predicting.
25 characters,
Or
though.
yeah, it just slot economy, and based on how much screen time is going to be devoted to Liu Kang as the god protecting Earthrealm, Fujin would be marginalized.
Okay,
anyway.
so even if we're choosing what we want, you don't think he should be 25? Assuming we have the 9 that we have, of course. We have to go off of that logic already. But
I mean, I think he should be, but I assumed I was going to get outvoted.
if we're
I mean-
choosing 16 more characters, essentially, you don't want Fujin as a part of that 16? I'm just asking. I'm not accusing
it's a Sophie's choice for me.
because to me, I want Fujin to be in there. He's not the top of my list because now that we just got him at least, and he had a great showing, it's like other characters have now moved up to the front of the line that we haven't gotten, since the 3D era as well.
I just feel like,
But
if
I'd
we're
still like to see
fighting
him.
over slots, we just had Fujin, and, in a perfect world, this guy should be, like, starting roster of the next game after this, maybe.
There are people that I want more than him at the moment. I've
Okay,
had him.
I'm gonna put
I've
him as
had
cameo
fun,
for now.
Or he could
or,
be
or
DLC.
DLC. DLC is a perfect.
You
choice
think
for me.
DLC
Maybe
twice in a row is
DLC.
okay?
I
Well,
would
it's
I
pay
okay
don't
with
for
care
it.
me,
about
yeah.
that the way Ed Boon cares about that.
I would pay for it.
Okay.
Give me more Fujin.
I would
Okay.
also, this may be more controversial, but I put Baraka as an assist as well because you can't leave Baraka out completely. He has to be there in some capacity.
I say
But
Baraka
I don't-
DLC.
No.
That's a good
Interesting.
picture for.
I think he is a very very reliable sell as DLC. People will.
Yeah,
purchase
I
the
like that
character.
too,
Baraka
actually.
does have a lot of fans. I mean, I'm not one of them. I'd be fine with Cameo. But...
Yeah, I'm good either way on Cameo DLC. It doesn't hurt to slot him here first, and then we can, as we get down in slots.
I think Bo Rai chose a logical cameo.
Very.
Yeah, I like him as a
Yeah.
cameo.
He's another one I'd rather have base, but again, there's limited slots. So
Lee
but
May
I mean,
definitely
you
should
know,
be base.
I'm not like the guy who would play as Bo Raicho, but I'd like to see him in story mode, and he makes sense, like, having that off to the side role as training people for kung
God.
fu.
Not to like feed a fed horse, as PETA would have you say. So stupid. You never heard that.
No.
I've never fucking heard that. No.
So PETA, just a small little tangent. PETA, like this is like 3 or 4 years ago, put out like this list of, instead of these popular sayings where you're hurting animals, so instead of saying beat a dead horse, you can say feed a fed horse, which is the same logic. Like, why would you feed a fed horse? This
Horses
horse
are
has
not
been
immortal.
fed.
They still
We
die.
don't need to feed this horse. I think another one was
You see what
feed-
happens, Larry? You see what happens? You
You-
find a stranger in the Alps and feed a fed horse.
I think another one was feed 2 birds with 1 scone.
They
I
are
don't know.
fucking lunatics. Just getting that out there. Look
But,
at
They're
that. They've done some
weird.
questionable shit.
Anyways,
want to beat more horses
oh god, don't say that.
with this.
All right, I'm
Is
gonna
it
say-
is it having the effect of like the don't smoke commercials in the 90s?
Okay, so
want to smoke more because those commercials were so obnoxious.
I lost my
honestly,
train of thought, but I was gonna say, you just know Bo is gonna the reason why I brought this up to begin with, and not to belabor something that has been mentioned 800 bajillion times with this character, but you just know his cameo assist is going to be him coming in and farting.
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
I'd settle for the throw
throwing
up
up.
puddle.
It's one of the two. It's not going to be anything else.
You know, we were just saying how it would be possible to have them do multiple things. Why not both?
Yeah. At the same time. All right, so we'll have him here as a cameo for now, and then I was going to say Lee May is another base roster for sure, right? We all
I'm
would
okay
like
with
to see
Lee May
her.
base roster. It's been enough time.
I just think she would I think she fits this game's aesthetic to like a T. This character should be in this game.
I actually also
she
think
looks like an MK12 character.
she should be, but I kind of think she'd be a very ideal DLC character as well. But I'm not going to oppose this.
That's always tough.
I don't think she would sell great as
she is,
DLC.
that would.
Yeah. I think you need to introduce this character first before trying to rely on DLC sales for.
Well, I mean, if you really wanna go for money, then we should make sure that like all the MK2 and 3 characters we haven't picked yet are DLC.
I mean, that's what I'm gonna suggest. Well, not really, because we'll get to that. But I don't necessarily want just all MK1 and 2 characters as DLC either. That would be pretty boring.
I'll put one out there that I think would sell really well and also make sense as DLC is Jade.
I thought you were gonna say Jax. Jade's a good pick though. As a cameo or DLC?
As DLC. Like, I think she could be a cameo and then DLC later.
Yeah.
Like, move.
I would rather her be DLC than a cameo, honestly. I don't think Jade as a cameo or just her tool set is very interesting.
Well, I understand that coming from a gameplay guy. I'm just looking at the story perspective of Jade is never really important. The best role you could give her is when you're playing as Katana, Jade comes out and hits people.
It just sounds so crude when you say it like that. But I see where you're coming from, though. I was also going to toss out what's up, Chad?
I'll get this out there. I don't think that Jax should be anything less than base roster ever.
I was gonna say DLC.
I mean, the way people have been clamoring for the Special Forces guys to sit out, I think they're legitimately gonna have, between Sonya and Jax, one of them will be base and one of them will not.
I mean, if I have to have one of them base, I'd rather have Jax on the base roster.
Me too,
but I would still prefer, honestly, I would prefer. Go ahead.
You realize you are getting Sonya, Kano, and Jax base roster, right? You are.
This is what we want. Remember, this is what we want.
I'm just saying. Reality.
I would prefer Jax be DLC. I think he's a great candidate for DLC.
I'm not going to say no to it.
So here's the thing. The game is titled MK1, so I'm sure it'll be Sonya base, and then Jax maybe base, maybe not.
So are we setting a rule and putting one of them as base? And now
I think if the storyline is changing to a degree and just the whole setup and premise hopefully is different to some degree, and the idea of bringing in more 3D era characters is accurate, just all assumption, then I would be happy to have some of these MK1 and MK2 characters that aren't like the. I know Sonya is and Kano to a lot of people are considered must-have, but to me it's like I feel like those are the ones we can wait on this time.
Well,
those slots have to come from somewhere if we're going to be putting these 3D era characters on this game.
I just think from the logic of we titled the game Mortal Kombat 1, so the very first thing we're going to do just put the entire MK1 roster in, and then the subversion will be what we do different with them, not whether we leave them out.
To a point, I think you're right, but I also think like, God, if we have limited spaces here, somebody's got to eat that.
Okay, look, if we're doing the roster that we want, it sounds like almost all of us want Jack's main roster.
I'm fine with putting Jax in, and can we not do Sonya and Kano then?
Yeah, I was gonna say the next thing is largely most of us would prefer Sonya and Kano to be cameo or
I don't
DLC.
think anyone wants Kano as main roster, at least among us four. I don't think anyone would want.
I would happily pay for Kano as a DLC.
Can we put him as cameo for now, and then figure out our DLC as we go? Because we only have 9.
I mean, very different priorities.
Kano being playable
That's what makes us
more sense to
entertaining.
me. Kano being DLC makes more sense to me than Cameo because I'm picturing cameos as sidekicks to other characters, and Kano is generally the character who has sidekicks.
Okay, that's fine. We'll make him DLC for now. Like I said, we can at least get him into buckets, and then we can filter it from there.
Let's thin the herd.
Can I do Ashra base roster? Are we all pro Ashra making this base roster?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like Ashra.
I love Ashra. And I got to get Jackson the appropriate spot here. He needs to be in Mortal Kombat 2.
I was going to throw out Shujinko as Cameo, by the way.
Where the hell is Ashra? Okay, she's good.
I'm fine with Shujinko as Cameo. I think he's ideal Cameo material.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I don't think base roster is reasonable.
I think he'd be kind of a fun DLC character, but we can argue that once we get to
play as Shujinko. I'm just saying
he's one of the most fun I had the other night playing Deception, and that was just like just straight up specials, not even the way we want them designed. It was fun.
Well, thing is, we have like 12 cameo spots. It seems like this is definitely the category we're having trouble filling up. So we gotta start getting.
Well, these are the. I think base roster and DLC are the more important spots. Then it's like
but
let me throw one out there. Based on, technical limitations and being realistic, the same way we were with Motaro, I would like to see Draman as a cameo.
Sure, yes. I agree with that. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think he's a good cameo option for sure. And if anything, I would see him being starting off as a cameo, and if people rally behind it, fucking make him DLC, and maybe they'll get over it.
Not if Ed has anything to say about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Hopefully, this reintroduction through Cameo means people push. Because right now there just isn't that push. I mean, there's a push from us and the minority, but like the grander picture, hopefully people push for it.
I'm gonna put out the next cameo suggestion is Collector.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. That
he also doesn't really he's not tied to a timeline. I don't feel like.
Yeah, I don't want a big role for him. I didn't like playing as him, but I like the character and don't want to see him disappear. So
yeah, I want him around.
Cameo would be better than sitting out.
Yeah, that's a good pick for Cameo. For sure.
How do we feel about the chameleons?
I'll say this right now. I have always wanted a female chameleon as base roster. I know it's not going to happen.
See, I would put her as DLC or cameo. I'd be fine with either.
I would gladly pay money for female chameleon. I'm happy with that. DLC is
she has to be DLC or playable roster, in my opinion. I don't. She can't. Okay, one of the chameleons has to be playable.
It sounds like we don't like to play as her. I think DLC is fair.
She'd be cool. Yeah, I think she'd be very flashy.
Yeah, because we need at least one chameleon there in some capacity.
Like I said, the deal. Yeah, I think DLC and cameos both have to have some degree of flair to them, like where you can actually see this character fitting well in that role, like as DLC or as a cameo. Like I definitely think before cameo is all said and done, we need to have at least one like meme version of a character, like a Meat or somebody's got to fit in there as a cameo just for the silly factor. Though, like, holy shit,
can't be DLC, so I'm fine as a cameo for Meat.
Meat and Mocap are both ideal cameo material for shits and giggles. I would absolutely.
If we have space, I'm okay with Mocap, but that's if we have space. If we don't have space, he's the first one going to sit out.
Yeah, let's leave Mocap off the table for now. Meat first, definite cameo.
And we can always change this too. Like we can take someone out of base roster if we need to.
Yeah. Speaking of which, base roster, where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 5 more slots. Can I make
more DLC people?
Can I make an argument for Kenshi being base roster?
You can.
Well, actually, before we do that, what about Natara? Like, we all probably agree she needs to be base.
Base.
Yeah, I think popular. Like now is the time to capitalize on her being in stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so that takes one slot. So that's 4 more now. And then where were we at on Kenshi? Would he be good base?
I say cameo just because I think he's built for that, and because we've gotten a lot of Kenshi over the decade. But I don't feel terribly strongly on Kenshi one way or the other. I like Kenshi, but I just he's not priority for me.
I feel like I've had plenty of fun with him over the past couple of years. I don't care if he sits out 2 games. I'll pay money for him as DLC, but I'm fine with him being a cameo.
If there's room, I'd be fine with DLC. I have my gut tells me we're probably not gonna, because we still have ninjas on the board, so it's gonna DLC is about to get real tough.
See, for me, Kenshi, once again, kind of like the Lee May factor, I just feel like he would greatly fit this aesthetic, and he did sit out 11.
The game is leaning very heavy visually so far into like the kung fu movie stuff.
Yeah. The Asian aesthetics, and it fits. Yeah. He just feels like he'd be great. Plus, he sat out completely of 11, was not even there at all.
I mean, considering how we're going to like reinvent, considering how we're going to completely reinvent characters, I would actually be 100% on board with reinventing him from the ground up, because I don't actually like him all that much as a person, as I've said. But I would very much welcome him in a completely new context and role. So if you want to throw him in base, I'm not going to complain too much.
All right, we'll put him there for now.
I'm a big Kenshi fan. I'm with Cyborg.
Okay. We'll leave him here for now, and then, once we get to the chopping block, we can kind of reevaluate.
Okay, you know what? I think it's time for some throw bums out action. Shao Kahn sits out. I don't want him right now.
Yeah,
I'm tired of him.
I would prefer to not see Shao Kahn for a game, yeah.
I'm with you. What about Cameo? Do you think he'd be a good cameo?
No, I'm just... No. He's an eyesore right now.
Okay.
I have unless you're ready to throw a spear, like I don't know.
I mean, I just want to be told that one of the things Liu Kang did to history is he got rid of Shao Kahn.
Yes.
Because the first thing I would do in Liu's shoes is try to delete the major villains.
Yeah.
Being serious, do we want Blaze or sit out?
I'd sit him out.
I'd sit him out. I do, jokes aside, I really do like Blaze, but I just don't. He's not priority. He's not in my top 10. He doesn't need to be there.
Blaze is tied to a very specific series of events, and I love that. I love that first incarnation of the character, but there really isn't anything for him to do right now, so I'm okay with it.
The Fat Blaze meme is largely me pretty much defending how underappreciated he is. It's not necessarily because he's one of my favorite characters. I like him a lot, but I think he gets unjustly ripped on a lot, and that's why that's where Fat Blaze was born.
I too enjoy Cheese Whiz.
It's good. you put it in the microwave, it's amazing.
All right, how do we feel about Taven and Dagon while we're here? Because those are also Armageddon-centric.
So I'm going to say Taven sit out. I could see Dagon as a cameo.
I would want them both as cameos personally.
Yeah, I think I'm with Temp on this.
Because Taven's fine. And
I mean, it's not that it's not fine. It's that slots are at a premium, and the guy should be sleeping in a rock, as far as I'm concerned.
I rephrase. I like Taven a lot. I think Taven's cool, and if we have the space, why not put him in cameo? Like
I'm saying, he could be in the sequel.
All right. Well, let's keep working through, and then we can let's just put him down here for now. We'll reevaluate once we. What about Dairu and Darius? I'm gonna say both of those should just sit out for now.
Yeah. Well, I think one of them can be a cameo, but not both.
Yeah, I think that one of them should be a pity cameo.
I'd like to see one of them redeemed. Maybe Dairu is the cameo.
I was actually going to say maybe Darius.
Yeah, I would say Darius would make.
Well, I like the idea. I've always sort of liked the idea of Dairu because he's got that kung fu movie look to him.
But if we get Darius in his alt. And you've also got that, but better.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good.
It really depends on the execution. I mean,
if
you guys are leaning towards Darius, I won't fight it, but
I would expect more for these characters to get redesigns. I don't think they're just. I would hope so. After all these years, that they aren't just going to design them to look exactly as they were. I would hope that they take it as an opportunity to really give them a new coat of paint that they need.
Well, that's sort of where I'm coming from. Is I think given the potential of the two, Dairu would have a cooler looking redesign than Darius would. But that's just my guess.
But if I was going to pitch Hotaru as a cameo, and I feel like if we have Hotaru as a cameo, then I kind of want Darius there in some capacity. Or I prefer Darius there in some capacity.
I'd be fine with both of those as cameos, personally.
I think there's any character that's worth their salt from the 3D era, they should be in one of the top 3 categories.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to even potentially think of maybe Hotaru as a DLC. I could see if they stuck with the samurai aesthetic, they could really make him look cool.
I would even argue for Hotaru main roster, so DLC at the minimum.
I could also be on board with base roster too. I had a lot of fun with him the other night on Deception, and he was always the one that I liked. Yeah.
If we had 26 characters, I think base roster should be fine, but I just think Hotaru's too expensive, man.
All right, now we do. No, I'm just kidding.
More people.
Just gonna change it.
Again, I wouldn't mind. Hotaru as DLC works for me, but we're running out of slots.
We're also running out of DLC slots too. I don't know. I have not heard the outcry for Hotaru like I have other characters.
He did pretty well on the poll that I don't know if you're familiar with the Twitter polls that I put up. So
no, I saw it, yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm glad I reminded myself of this just now. I just put up a poll. Check out the video, and I'll put it in the description, actually, of this podcast as well. But click on the poll. Take the poll if you haven't already. I'm asking people to choose the 20 characters remaining in the game, basically. Just, what characters you want to see. So click the link. You'll follow it. Submit it, please. Trying to get as much data as possible. But yeah, I did some polls on Twitter separate from all that. And I did of the ones from Deception that don't get as much love, I put Dairu and Darius in one slot. I put Hotaru in another, and then Kira, and then Cobra. And Hotaru won it pretty bigly. I think people do like Hotaru.
This is just for me.
Bigly.
But,
Big League 2.
ranking how much which of the Deception new characters are my favorites from top to bottom. Hotaru's second or third place after Havoc, and maybe Shujinko.
Yeah, for me it's Ashra, Havoc, then maybe Hotaru and Shujinko are close to each other to me.
Hey, Cyborg!
We can put him base for now.
2, 3, 4. What's up?
Hey, Cyborg! What's that, Chad? Throw Gearus out! Okay!
Let's get this list shorter. Okay, we can toss
okay, so our
Lynch on the phone?
Our base roster has 20. And damn it, I just counted
yes,
and I already forgot.
Coming to you from Spokane,
17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
22. So we have 3 more slots
22.
for base roster. We can throw Garrus out. I don't think he needs to be there.
Nothing against him, but there's just nothing for him to do this time. No more time shenanigans. And as much as I like the guy, he's the only salvageable part of the whole fucking stop the clock operation. Those two
I don't think
next to each other, but
doesn't need to be gone forever. But I think we can wash our mouths of all that for now.
No time shenanigans right now is all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I think we're in agreement there. Let's see.
Scarlet as an assist, maybe.
Scarlet
should be a good
is
cameo.
Good cameo material.
Yep, I'm on board with that.
I definitely don't want Suhao base, but I think as an assist he's good. I don't want to throw Suhao out. He's still 3D era to me.
Yeah, so. I would like to see Suhao.
I'd say cameo.
Yeah,
cameo would be good. I think that's a good way to reintroduce him to a new audience.
Give him a
cool role as a cameo.
They gotta try to start rehabilitating him at some point.
Yeah, that's a good time. Yeah, that's a good reintroduction. If they make him a really good cameo that people want to actually use, that could really, with a cool design, that could really change some minds, which would be nice.
I'm gonna say throw Shinnok out. Nothing much for him to do right now. Not yet, anyway. Same as Gearus, same as Shao Kahn. Liu should be taking measures to prevent Shinnok from coming back however possible. And this is an MK1 thing.
I could see Shinnok being a guy he can't remove because the Elder Gods existed before the Big Bang.
Maybe, but I don't know.
This is a dilemma because I don't think Shinnok will sell as DLC. I think having Shinnok as a cameo is weird. I don't think he works well in that function at all.
For me, Shinnok is base. For me, Shinnok is it's either he's DLC or he's base. He's not just cameo material.
Yeah, correct. It would be weird. It would just look strange to have Shinnok pop out of the side of the screen to sidekick for somebody else.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Khan. I think even for Khan, that'd be super weird. It's go get him, Rain. I don't know.
Either way,
I'm okay with putting Shinnok on sit out and say he'll be in the sequel.
It's a really complicated, involved thing. Liu probably knows his entire deal. The fact that he fell from grace and whatnot. So he probably just, at some point, went, something you want to talk about? Let's sit down. Maybe there's good Shinnok in this universe. Scary thought. Scary
That would be
thought.
so sick, actually. That would be a lot of fun.
You know, as much as I say I don't like Elseworlds, I would give good Shinnok or good Shang Tsung like just based on the premise of what if a character who knew the future just had a conversation with these guys and hashed things out. That would be so novel, so new and interesting.
Yeah,
I think if the Pope crown is wearing on your head, you talk to someone about it. That's all.
I think good Shang Tsung, that boat has sailed already for this version.
Yeah,
he looked pretty evil still.
Unfortunately, we're already past that.
He still looked pretty antagonistic.
I am also going to say it is not quite time for Sub-Zero, any Sub-Zero, to have a disciple yet, so Frost should sit out.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way about Frost as I am about the Combat Kids. That's for the future.
You don't think maybe having her like classic version as a cameo is kind of like a make good to everybody that kind of dislikes that version?
I just don't think it's time.
It's also space.
So I feel kind of the way I do about Shao Kahn, that I would be happier to see Frost if there was some a gap, you know?
You want her to
a little
have
time to
some
cool
separation
off,
there. Okay.
and yeah.
All right.
I can't miss you if you're never gone.
Yeah, I prefer as like a cameo as in her classic version, not the cyborg version, but I can live with this for now.
How would we feel about Cabal as an assist?
I think Cabal is a great cameo.
I was going to say I think Cabal and Tremor as assists and Jarek sitting out.
Okay. Cabal is made to be a heavily abused cameo assist character.
That's going to be interesting.
You're going to love it.
Cabal is always tough, man, because he's so tainted. He's just in really ugly territory. So I think this is the best of both worlds. Which makes me sad, because I love Cabal so much. I really do like that character.
That's
His
thing.
history is so unfortunate.
In theory, like MK3 Cabal is one of my favorite characters of all time, but he's been so far from that for so long. Like, I would love to just sort of wash my hands of it and come back to it later with a fresh set of eyes, but I think under the circumstances, he's probably going to be a cameo.
That's a good segue into what's up, Chad?
I'm also trying to keep in mind the fact that this is largely speaking the MK1, maybe also MK2 time frame of things. I'm okay with certain characters from 3 still sitting out. Cabal is there for me.
I guess I don't see it from that angle, because that's why I expect or I hope anyways to see a good number of 3D era characters represented, because I'm hoping that with this new world, the timeline of events is just very different than what it was before. So MK1 in name doesn't necessarily mean that we're devoid of a lot of these characters. They're just going to show up this time for whatever reason they write it for.
Another way of looking at it would be, though, as history changes and 2 and 3 don't happen, that means some of those characters don't do stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
How do we feel about Hotaru and... Well, go on, Shad, yeah.
I would still like to wait on Hotaru. Let's just kind of see everything else fleshed out, because he's one that I feel like is kind of on the cusp. It really just depends how things shake out, where he goes, in my opinion.
Despite all the bitching and pissing and moaning, I do really feel like it's time for Rain to be main roster in something. It is long overdue, and I think he actually does have a place in this time period.
You actually beat me to it. I was going to say there's 3 ninjas left, so we probably could put one more on base roster.
Yeah, and if Adenia is going to be a larger part of the story, which based on the trailer anyways, it seems like that. If let's say Shao Kahn never conquers Adenia, then what is Rain up to? I feel like I could see it, and I wouldn't be opposed.
Yeah. I think of the 3, there's actually 4 ninjas. Well, no, we put Tremor, so there is 3. Okay, so Rain base, Ermac DLC, and I have no idea what to think about Noob, because he's so tied to a specific chain of events and history is changing.
I could see him as
I'm fine with anything but base.
Or DLC even. I could see Noob as DLC.
Yeah.
Even if it's non-canon.
Yeah.
And maybe he's just an enigma right now. We don't know anything about him again. It kind of goes back to his roots, and they can follow it up in a later game.
I think back to like that 10-year plus a little give or take period where he was his own character.
Yeah.
Just another goon, and it barely seems real now, you know?
I could see that happening again. I mean, if things are changed completely, maybe somebody else becomes noob somehow. I don't freaking know, but like maybe it goes down that route.
It's Kano.
Stop saying it's Kano.
Kano.
Hey man, if it gets rid of Kano and brings us noob, then maybe it's an upgrade.
I'm gonna change my avatar in Discord to the MK3 Noob Cybot Kano. It's gonna be great.
Oh wait, Tanya, base roster.
Tanya and Rain both probably should be there, right?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Well, Tanya, I feel like for sure 100% should be base roster. I don't even think that's a question.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Tanya earlier, so yeah, I'm in complete agreement there. And Rain, we can put him here and then see how it shakes out.
So then Ermac DLC, can we agree to that?
Yeah, that's
I'm fine.
Yeah,
I think he'd be a good DLC candidate.
Excellent candidate.
And then okay, so is that our complete base roster for now? 1, 2, 3,
19,
or do we
20,
have one more
22,
spot?
23, 24. Yeah, we have one more.
Okay.
Let's just knock that out now, actually.
Yeah, who gets
this
it?
shouldn't be hard.
I think let's go with one more 3D era.
Hotaru sounds fine.
Hotaru or Kai?
Yeah. Hotaru's my vote, just because Kai could be closer to a combat kid in age.
I'm just gonna say, I want Sonya base roster, and I always do. I'm not quite as tired of her as the rest of yous, but I understand. So between Hotaru and who else now?
Kai was the other one.
Kai, I think, is another good candidate between Hotaru and Kai.
Kai's got the combat kid problem.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think it makes sense for Hotaru, and then we'll treat Kai well in the next game.
I like Kai better, but
it's so sad to say because I want him there so much, but like you got to introduce the guy before you introduce the guy he passes the stick to and then takes away from.
Right.
One other option we are not discussing, maybe purposely, is Sindel. And before anybody gets upset, maybe this is their way of completely undoing everything they did in 11. A whole new ball game. If Adinia has been around and was never conquered, that wipes Shao Kahn out of the equation completely for Sindel. So what would that make her? Would that be
Sindel?
I feel like you're addressing me directly.
No. I'm trust me, this is not just you. This is a large part of the community.
Honestly, yeah.
So my thought on it is that this, yes, is an opportunity to walk back some bad ideas and give us like nice Queen Sindel and see her in an environment that's not tainted in any way by Shao Kahn's presence. And yet there's that voice in the back of my head going, but actually this is an opportunity to focus on what if Kitana and Melina could be queens and not have to be princesses.
Yeah,
so maybe Sindel just sits out.
And the other option then would be Cameo. I think she'd be a good Cameo.
I'd rather she sit out than be a Cameo, personally. I would just like I'd either have her, have a big role or have no role at all.
I'm going to vote Cameo because I don't hold any of the MK11. I treat MK11 as fan fiction. I don't hold any of that against her. So I think Cameo with a redemption storyline is fine.
See, I'm not even thinking about 11. I'm just thinking like I would rather have her out of Kitana's way so Kitana can have the throne.
Well, that's what I meant. You were going to Lady Macbeth Sindel the first chance you got. That's what I was
Would it be?
I just don't trust them to deal with her anymore. I don't. I can't. I want her to sit out.
So I have a question on what you said, Razor. Would it be possible, like, maybe it's just an ignorant question, but does she always remain queen as long as she's alive? Does she have to be dead for Kitana to get the throne?
There's an argument a person could make that, like, take England, for example. They have the concept of, like, the queen mother. So, like, somebody else is on the throne and their parent is in the background because they're old and it's like retirement.
Yeah.
I've never liked that. Just from like a storytelling fiction point of view, I'd rather that character be out of the way.
Because that was my only thought, was maybe she's still there, no longer queen. Katana, Melina, whoever moves up to queen status, we have no idea what the hell they're gonna do with those characters. But
I think
she could be more of like the mentorly, motherly figure that's not necessarily on the throne.
I just think it might be more satisfying to see once Katana finally has the throne, that she's not like taking advice from other people, she's doing it all for herself.
Okay. So then, okay, we'll keep her off the base. Then do we go DLC, we go cameo, or completely sit out?
I mean, my vote is sit out. And
Here's where I agree with
Shad.
I think Shad has a point, because if Sindel's evil again, I will cancel my pre-order. So I agree in that respect. However, if this is what we want, right? If it's what we want, she's not going to be evil anyway. So by that logic, I put her in cameo. Because here's the thing, if I don't put her in cameo, she could still show up in the game as a villain. Like, me not putting her in cameo on this list is not going to affect that. So this is what we want. I want a good Sindel as cameo.
And then you could still have Katana with Sindel as your cameo and stuff. You could still have your fun Adinian team-ups and whatnot. I think it would be good to still have her in the game just to show that, hey, all that bullshit we did in 11 that we tried to like be forceful about, and we, you know, even when people backlashed, we tried to kind of like dig our heels in. Like, the way you get to just not have her there at all, I feel like isn't addressing the problem. That's just ignoring the problem. And that means we are left with that Sindel that we last saw.
And I feel that this attitude, while a healthy one, is optimism bordering upon the foolish. I want nice things too.
Not if it's a complete reset.
I want a cure for cancer.
I'm just saying, not if it's a complete. If it's
right now,
if it's not a
good Sindel.
So
I want good Sindel.
No,
it doesn't exist anymore. It's not going to.
But it's a reset.
A cure for cancer
it doesn't matter.
list. You put cure for cancer on there, right?
Yes.
Now hold on.
It's a reset so that they can tell stories, brand new stories, different versions of characters, just like they've done with Sindel already. Don't you see that was the start of it? And I'm not saying that to be pessimistic, but that was one of the first early examples of showing that they wanted to just take characters in complete different directions.
So I understand both sides of it. I think what Cyborg is saying could make sense, and I agree slightly more, like 60-40 with Shad's point of view, because I have seen Dom be the kind of guy who says, we made this character evil because their character's eye looks evil and it's just simpler that way. And that's the kind of writing you can expect to see as long as Dom is in the chair. But either way, my position is that Sindel was in the past 3 games in a row. She was an NPC in X, but she was still there.
Thank you.
I'm ready to take a break. I just want her to sit one game out, please.
Don't misunderstand, Cyborg. I agree completely with your intentions, and it would be lovely, but I just don't think it's ever going to happen, and I'm so very tired of this character right now for a wide variety of reasons, and I want her to go away like I want Shao Kahn to go away.
Okay, so taking everything you just said into account and not dismissing it at all, in a hypothetical scenario, just purely hypothetical, against our will, against our desires, she is put in this game, and then they do good Sindel. Would that wash that horrible taste you have out of your mouth of Sindel and restore the Sindel that you like? If they did that.
It might, yes.
That was my only point in all of this is, yes, we can say they're going to double down. There's always that fear, or just we just don't want to see this character. But if they do an apology letter, I'm not saying that's the most likely scenario, but let's just say it is what happens. I feel like that's going to do a lot more goodwill than just ignoring this character for another 4 to 6 years, however long it's going to be until the next game. I feel like you're always going to have that kind of that guillotine above our heads, that black cloud above their heads, if they just leave that character as the last time we saw her was in such a horrible thing that left such a like spit in people's faces with how much of a backlash there was with this character. I could easily see the best way to handle this is just to fucking absolutely undo all of that shit with this new world and say, not happening this time. In fact, they should just fucking make extra a big a point about like, no, there's no way she's secretly evil. Like, they gotta even just like not even I don't know, tongue in cheek might not be because that almost seems like they're poking fun at it, but they need to go out of their way to be like, Sindel's got to be like, "Don't worry, dear." Like, fucking, I don't know. Like, it's, if she's talking to
is in her room every night, telling her how not evil she is. That's what's going on.
Like, right? I don't know. Like, I'm just saying. I think if she, base roster or not, that's fine. But I think if they had her as a cameo and she was actually great in story, that would go a long way to be like, "Look, we fucked up." That's all. That's all my point is. I would hate for the lasting impression of this character to be MK11. The best way to get that out of our minds and our hearts is to fucking give. It's like with Ermac. Like, if we want the best case with Ermac is we get the Ermac we want, not to just get rid of him for forever.
Well, I gave up on Ermac. That battle's over. But the thing is, with Shad, I agree 100% in a different category. Like, the way Shad feels about Sindel is exactly how I feel about Li Mei. Like, if Dom was in my room for some weird reason and said, "Hey, should I put in Li Mei?" I'd be like, "Don't do that, please. Stay away from my favorite characters, please."
Also, get out of my house. What are you doing here?
Leave me alone, Dom.
But this is a good reason why you bring this up, is because then why do we want any of these characters in this game if we don't have any sort of faith in how they're going to treat these characters? Why do we want them to bring Natara in here? Why do we want Ashra? Why do we want Cyrax, Sector, or Smoke? If we know that there's a potential that they could completely sabotage these characters in such horrible fashion, then we should just start moving all these characters from base roster to sitting out. Because if that's the logic we're going to go with and be fearful, then...
Look, I mean, all of those concerns aside, what Racer just said is valid. She's been in every fucking game over the last
that's fair.
games.
That's fair.
I
agree with that.
No, I don't agree with that either. The MKX thing doesn't count. The
MKX thing totally counts. Sindel is in the story like more than most of the main roster.
Come on, that doesn't fucking count.
There was way too much Sindel and X for me to be like, I'm so sick of looking at her face. Right? Look, I don't think of Sindel like Sindel's an MK3 character, not an MK1 or 2 character. Okay, she doesn't get to just be in everything. She's not a classic. She's this weirdo circus freak on the side.
That's like holding MKX against Stryker. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I wouldn't want to see Stryker if he'd been in 3 games in a row either.
I do want to see Stryker. Do y'all want to do Stryker? How do we feel about Stryker?
I'd like to see Stryker now, but if he had been in 3 games in a row, I'd be like, Jesus Christ, that's way too much Stryker.
I mean, this was great conversation, so I didn't want to cut it short. But yeah, we can just have her sit out for now, and then
there's plenty of other people to have conversations about. Plenty.
Don't worry, Temp. We can revisit it if we want to revisit the cameo potential. But we'll
do Stryker. Let's do Stryker.
Like I said, let's knock out more characters. Stryker, I think, is a good cameo.
Okay with Stryker,
yeah.
Anybody want to make a pitch for DLC?
I mean, I think he'd be a great candidate. It's just that things are weird with having cops around right now.
There's this whole social thing about like ACAB and whatnot. I don't want to deal with it.
There is the potential that they change up his character to not be that. I mean, all things are on the table, right?
Right, but if you make Stryker not a cop, then you're kind of creating a whole new character.
Could he be like a soldier?
About him as a cop?
Yeah, could he be like a soldier or something? Could he work for like the
Cameo works best, honestly. I think Cameo's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Because the thing about Cameo is we can test him now, and if he if his usage is high, if people respond positively to him, then we make him DLC later.
I mean, I think just not including the police brutality coming up would be a great step.
Well, that's you first of all, you do that. You don't.
He can also fight bad cops for all we know. Like, we don't even know what his capacity as a cop is going to be.
Yeah, his story could be very much like trying to say, hey, this is a good guy, not a shitty person.
They could move him from the riot squad to internal affairs, sure.
Yeah. But he's just a vigilante who used to be a cop and got like sick of the way things were, quit, but kept the badge,
he was a loose cannon cop who broke all the rules.
I mean, that was my point. Is you don't have to be like.
He found out that there were dirty cops in his division, and the only way to take down the precinct was to go outside the rules.
Had nothing to lose.
I'm just saying, people would go for that.
Crazy vigilante John McClane is what you do.
Exactly. There's ways to do it.
It's not even really the fact that he's a cop that it's the baseball cap that's actually more important to me. He has to be a baseball cap.
He could be a baseball player. Just walked right off the baseball field.
I stand with Temp that we test the waters with Stryker. We start with Cameo, and if he's popular, there you go, DLC.
Yeah.
One
think
big
we'll
one
be
that we
too
haven't
high,
talked about that's probably worth it is Quan Chi. I'm thinking DLC is a good option.
Yeah,
for him.
DLC is fine. Man, we have like how many slots?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
more.
7. We have 2
Yeah,
more.
DLC is fine.
Yeah, I'm confident in that. Like, he's the perfect taste tester for the next round of whatever the hell happens.
Okay, so given that we have like 1 slot left in DLC
And base roster. Yeah.
Yep. Time to
Let's
decide.
lay it down, Sonia.
Yep.
For DLC?
Or base. I
I
think that's what we're trying to determine.
Yeah, I lean towards DLC.
I say DLC as well because I wanted either Hotaru or Kai in base.
I'm fine with DLC because that means I would rather she be late game DLC and let us have that room for all the other characters that we've been asking for than making her base and making a different character that we've been asking for have to wait. So
And
I
you
feel
also
like that's the
understand,
bigger
like,
win.
This
You
is
can
a
put her in
big
a pack
compromise on my end because I don't like this character at all. So DLC is a big like middle ground for me.
All right,
What's up?
fine. I'm okay with it. I would always say base roster, but if she's on a DLC pack together with Kano, that is big money right there, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep. Just don't make it the early ones. Make it like the last one that comes out after I've long stopped playing the game.
What are you doing? Put her above Kano. Are you mad?
I've been putting it in order of game. I don't care
There
which
we
which one's which. That's
He's
fine.
still on the lower tier within that game.
It just looks nice.
Aaron Black and Kodal as cameos?
I think Kodal's a good cameo. Aaron could be tricky.
We don't have anyone with guns aside from Stryker as a cameo, and
That's my concern. I don't want him to be like the zoner cameo that's just a pain in the ass.
People are gonna spam that button if he's.
So should Aaron sit out now because he's been in 2 games in a row?
I think
he's very popular.
Aaron
though.
has the fans to support if he was a cameo, but personally, I could take a break from Aaron for 1 game.
See, the way you guys feel about Aaron is how I feel about Kodal Khan. Because I'd rather have Aaron over Kodal.
Should probably throw Devora in this mix too. I think she's kind of right up there with the 2 of them in terms of popular NRS era characters.
I'm not super attached to either one. All 3 could sit out, and I wouldn't argue with you.
I can throw out Bug Lady for the time being. I know that you have issues with the temp, but I mean, I've gotten a little bit tired of the attempts to ingratiate her by selling her, by murdering all the characters. It's very obnoxious.
I think there's a consensus in the fan base, and just to be like kind to them, take a break from Devora.
Yeah.
I like her, but I'm fine.
But it's like I can see when you're trying to hard sell a character, and that's not the way to go about it.
The thing is, Devora has such an interesting looking aesthetic. She didn't need all the extra.
Yeah,
she was just her look and didn't do all that story stuff. Great character.
I think if she would have done half of it, would have been a good middle ground. Because if she wouldn't have done any of it, then we would be this is another jobber like Aaron Black.
Kodal ordering her to be Melina's executioner was all she needed. Like, I was even okay with Baraka. It was the Scorpion 1 and 11 felt a little too much. It started to feel like they were doing a meme. They knew how people looked at her and were leaning into it.
Yeah, no, I think we're all in agreement.
I had no problems after X, like you said, but like after 11, it was like, really? And the way that like they had her scuttle off, like Exorcist style, backwards into the fucking grass, into the fucking grass. You could just hear them go.
See, I like that.
I almost felt like she should have been making a whoop 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 noise.
Exactly.
A witch's
just getting a little
cackle.
bit obnoxious there, yeah.
But all right. Okay, so back to Aaron and Kodal. So how many cameos do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 4 more cameos. I mean, we need more NRS era representation, right? We have Scarlet, we have Tremor, and we have Collector. I think at least one of them needs to be a cameo. Just which?
Like I said, could go either way on either one of them. I actually think Ferrator first.
Yes.
I think that's a logical cameo.
That's a great cameo. We need to have a big bruiser type.
Yeah, like big guy charges in for you seems like a logical assist.
All right, I think it's time to start throwing more bums out. With who we have left to work with, I have to concede that Jarek should sit this one out. There are more interesting people at play here still.
That's what I'm
even
saying.
after all
We
this.
3 black dragons, not 4. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so throw Jarek out.
Mocap can probably be dumped out as well.
Yeah, we put Meat as our silly one for the cameos.
I actually think it would be funnier to switch them. Like Mocap is the guy I would cameo if I'm playing as Johnny Cage, but this is fine too. I'm not gonna fight it.
I feel like Noob Saibot is too much of an unknown factor right now, and to be quite honest, I would be okay with a game where he was not present.
We may in fact have to let Noob out and hope that they figure out what they're doing with Bihan for the sequel.
See, I still think he makes a great DLC. We're filled up on DLC, so it may require some rethinking, but I still think he would be a good like.
You know, I'd be happy to see him as DLC,
like the story expansion DLC type of thing. But anyway, well, let's just leave him here for now, and then we can kind of shuffle if we need to. But any other quick ones? Shiva probably sit out, or
well, yeah, because we've got like Goro main,
Kintaro DLC, Motaro.
Yeah, Shiva can sit out. I think that she just got a pretty damn good showing, all things considered. So
I would also make Onaga an unplayable boss. So technically, from a gameplay perspective, I would have him sit out and just make him the final boss.
I was gonna say he needs his own unplayable boss tier.
Yeah, I mean, if you
which I would have been happy
add a 5th category button just for him.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, we can do that. That's very doable.
Yeah, I'll add that. So, try that again. Add a row below.
If you wanted to, we could even make Moloch unplayable sub boss.
I was about to say, where the fuck is Moloch? I'm surprised he's not on here.
Moloch's picture
by virtue
not
of
in this.
him.
There are 2 blazes and no Moloch.
Can we just write Moloch on Cassie's picture and put that in unplayable?
let's just use one of the blazes as a placeholder.
Yeah.
So we want Moloch to be a sub boss, is what you're saying?
Name the category Moloch. That works. Yeah.
I mean, I would not say no to Moloch as a sub boss, though.
I don't hate Moloch. I think if you make him bigger, he'd be tight.
Again, although you know what, though, if Dramon's going to be a cameo, so does he have to be. I feel like they belong together.
Do you want to noob smoke Dramon and Moloch?
Yes.
As a cameo? Oh, yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Or as a sub
boss. 2
boss.
of them being a single slot, like ferretoring them.
Okay,
like Moloch throws Dramon at you.
If you give me Dramon and Moloch as an actual sub boss, I am the happiest fucking camper.
That would be kind of cool.
And it actually fits tradition because in Deception, the sub boss was Noob Smoke, so I kind of like that. That's a nice throwback.
All right.
Do we want to shove?
Add a row above. Let's add a sub boss tier here. So we're still gonna keep. We're gonna still keep Dramon as a cameo, though, right?
We could, yeah. I think honestly, if he's a sub boss, I don't think that's entirely necessary, but I'd be fine with this.
So here's the thing: if the premise is Dramon Moloch as a tag team sub boss, and we don't have a picture for Moloch, maybe we put Dramon's picture there, and just everybody has to understand he's standing in for both of them.
Sure. So he's no longer a cameo, though. We're taking him out of cameo tier. We think reintroducing this character as an unplayable sub boss will do a long way to hopefully make
that
people.
That is absolutely what I want.
Okay. Make people fall in love with the design of those 2 characters, and then maybe in the follow-up game they can do something.
And it frees up space for someone who I think is absolutely ideal cameo territory, based on sheer variety of moves, potential, and possibility. Male Chameleon as a male cameo.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
It's only tough for me because there's a couple of characters I still want as cameos, and we're running out of space. But I do like Chameleon, so let's say yes for now. I don't like the idea of leaving. I don't want Nightwolf to entirely sit out, though. I think Nightwolf should be a cameo.
No, Nightwolf should be at the minimum a cameo.
I agree with that.
So in that case,
I would have him as my DLC personally, but just saying.
Well, then
though this does fly in the face of the Sindel she was in the last 3 games, because Nightwolf was like the exact same thing that she was, just without the baggage.
I mean, Nightwolf
he was in X
so little
story.
you almost can't see him. He's like in the background of
he rides a horse, I think, at some point, and that was it as a revenant.
You mainly see him in the very first chapter, like he comes out of a portal and makes a pair of red evil axes, and then he fights somebody off screen. And that's
I like the phrase evil axe.
Either way, I'm not arguing that. I was just more pointing out the similarities of their kind of trajectory. Both of them were NPCs and then DLC in the next one.
And that's fair.
Regardless, I'm totally cool with him being Cameo.
If you're going to have Nightwolf together with Cabal as... Actually, you know what? There's a fairly large percentage of like MK3 debuting roster cameos, so yeah, I can see it.
That is 13 people together.
We're at 13
it's extra
cameos.
bad because all the cyborgs are playable too. So I think people forget that the cyborgs are the premier MK3 characters. It's just
yeah.
Hey guys, look who we like more. Look who we think the best MK3
well,
introductions
look, that's been the case since MK4. All right, there's a reason the village people sat out and the cyborgs didn't.
And we threw a bone to Rain.
Cyborgs are better.
Yeah,
Rain's there as well. Rain's there as well.
I mean, Rain's a ninja though. He's also purple.
I mean, from MK3, the other characters from MK3 have gotten a pretty good showing the last few games. The cyborgs, on the other hand, have not.
11 especially was very 3 heavy.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right, I'm all right.
Fine.
Let's move on.
The toughest one is Kai for me, honestly, because I feel like he should be playable, but having him as a cameo is also strange. I don't really know what to do with Kai, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so it's between Kai and Hotaru still for that last playable slot. By the way,
I'm
we
just
still
saying,
haven't filled that.
think about what is cool about Kai is the idea that he is a student character to one of our mainstays becoming a mentor, but Liu is already mentoring like a human Raiden and regular Kung Lao in this game, so maybe Kai can wait.
It's the capoeira thing too, though. We don't have anything like that yet.
Yeah.
I am perfectly content with just taking Kai and all 4 combat kids and having them sit out. I wish Kai, more than any of them, were present, but when you're starting the whole thing over again, it's not time yet.
Let's assume for now that NRS isn't sophisticated enough to do the capoeira yet, and then we'll change our minds if the gameplay in 12 looks really good.
I don't have a hard answer either. I like Hotaru a lot. I don't really know who I would pick, to be honest with you. So,
or is there somebody that's already on there that we want to bump off for both of them?
Not really, no. I mean, honestly, if there was one, if I had to pick someone who had to come off right now, I'd probably pick Rain. But I don't know. Even that I don't feel great about.
Yeah, I feel like him being there will account for a lot of happy people. So there is that. More so than the Hotaru and Kai.
I mean, I still maintain that Kenshi should be DLC and not base roster.
That's why we take out of DLC then.
That's
what if we switch Fujin and Kenshi?
I mean, that's easy for me. I like Fujin way more than I like Kenshi.
Why don't we just put Fujin up there and then make both Hotaru and Kai cameos? Is that bad?
I can live with that.
Sure.
Kai and Hotaru could probably wait one more game while Fujin gets his second game, like his actual first base roster game in forever. So, I mean, I think that would be pretty sweet.
I'll give it a shot.
Sure.
You're safe, Kenshi. I did it. They can't hurt you.
Yeah.
Well, with Fujin's personality, he'd be fine with it. He'd be humble.
I do think Fujin deserves one more. He deserves that limelight just a little bit longer. Hotaru and Kai can wait one more game. I think would be okay.
I mean, even if you put Fujin in like sit outs, I'm sure if Fujin was here right now, he'd be like, "It's okay, Cyborg. It's all right. Don't worry about it."
Okay, so then are we good with Hotaru and Kai here, or do we want one of them to sit out? Do we need Do we need any of the combat
borrowing
kids
Kai
in
here.
there as a cameo or anything? Is the problem.
Okay, so before we do Kai, there's still some more characters I want to throw and sit out. Can we throw Movado and sit out?
Movado can sit out.
Yep.
Movado.
I think Kung Jin and Cassie and Jackie can all sit out as well. We'll figure out what we want to do with Takeda and Kai in a moment, but I think those three at least can sit out.
Yeah, I do think if we were going to have a combat kid purely as like not canon, we really like the gameplay DLC, Takeda is the one you would pick.
I would go with Kung Jin.
I think
I like them both, but I lean
Takeda's the most popular one, at least the one. Well, I shouldn't even say that. Takeda's the one that I feel like most people are asking for over the others right now.
Takeda has the most originality out of the box. Like Kung Jin needs some reworking on his moves if you're gonna have him for gameplay reasons.
I also like Scorpion more than Kung Lao too. That's a factor for me as well.
I just feel like they both have the same problem where they have too much shit, and I like what Kung Jin has to work with as a base more than I do what Takeda has to work with. I'm just not a fan of those whips, man. Never have been.
Oh, and we have a DLC slot.
I don't like the whips either. But it's also
the whips are the main thing I like.
Well, hold on.
Kung Jin's design works very heavily against. Well, what's up?
I was going to say, we have a DLC slot open now because we moved Fujin up. Is there somebody we want to put in that DLC slot? Was it Hotaru? Do we want to do Kai? Do we want to do Takeda?
Look at all these losers down here. Then you have Kai. I absolutely... Kai should be DLC.
Kai would make a great looking DLC character, like doing like the capoeira and stuff in the trailer. I think would be great.
I could see Kai.
Okay, let's do Kai. I think he would actually be a flashy DLC character.
See,
I'm usually like hesitant to put like a 3D era character that has probably long been forgotten by a good portion of the player base as DLC because I'm like, it's like Lee May, right? If you put her as a DLC character, is her initial trailer going to be enough to sell people on, or are they going to want to see her on the base roster and see her in story and all that?
On the presentation, because if Lee May had been DLC for X, she would have sold pretty well because of people having already seen her in the story mode and being like, "Oh, finally."
But Kai, on the other hand, I feel like he could make a badass trailer. Is all I was getting at.
And you still didn't put a 3D era character in that spot because he's not a 3D era character. He's an arcade era character.
Whatever.
Anyone disagree?
Whatever.
The line. It's
I'll stab them.
He's half 3D era character. All right. It's half 3D.
I feel like whenever you put a 3D era character or an MK4 character in the DLC slot, you run the problem of Darkstalkers is not dead. And I think we like that. I think people who are in the know, yes, the majority think Kai is awesome. But I just think little Jimmy has no fucking idea who Kai is. So, but he has the capoeira. So
yeah, I mean, you have a real badass trailer where he's Eddie Gordoing around, and people will get excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think he would be badass. That's the thing is, I think he's one that could actually survive in a DLC environment for his of like that group. Okay, so that would solidify the DLC, at least in terms of the number of slots. We can kind of debate if we want to move anything. But cameo-wise, I think we have one more slot, and then base roster we're filled as well.
Okay, so I think it's between Aaron and Kodal for that last cameo.
I mean, if you're asking who I want, I would probably pick, if I'm being honest, Darius, but between Aaron and Kodal, I would always go Aaron. I think
Takeda.
Takeda's tough, man. I don't disagree. I like Takeda.
All three of them kind of fill that MKX NRS role. We don't have any combat kids in there.
Even though I'm partial to Takeda, I wouldn't. I don't know what to fucking do with Takeda.
I'm gonna put forth a purely gameplay perspective. Aaron as an assist is gonna be zoner trash. Takeda as an assist is going to be zoner trash. Kodal as an assist is going to swing the paddle at you. I'm much more comfortable seeing people do that to me.
That's a paddling.
I'm not a paddle guy, frankly. I was never big on the paddle.
It's not a ranged attack, which is why I'm okay with it.
Well, we don't have a ton of zoners as it is. Would it be the worst thing in the world to have a zoner?
I mean, you
Everybody
have
on the main roster has fireballs.
It depends. Well, it depends
But a
on.
cameo roster, though, right?
I mean,
Like,
you have
I
Chameleon.
don't want
and
cameos to be zoners. That's
It-
the worst gameplay idea I've heard.
You have Chameleon and Shujinko, who both probably will have 3 different ways to zone you. You have Scarlet, who's just full of projectiles. Jesus, Tremor's got more than a few.
Oh yeah, Nightwolf will just shoot a bunch of arrows.
Yeah,
There's your zoner.
Cabal. Not Cabal. Striker. You have guns. There's a lot of like projectile people on that cameo.
Oh, yeah,
list
yeah.
already.
Nightwolf should do his reflector as one of his moves. That'd be
Well,
cool.
Yeah, that would
You're
actually be a really cool assist.
I actually say shoulder charge. That'd be great.
Well, I'm sure they'll have multiple options. I would hope, but
I
yeah,
mean-
It would be the coolest one though, because it's like, oh shit, I'm about to be shot. Wait, guess what I have?
yeah.
if my theory is right, every single cameo, including Motaro, oh my gosh, Motaro is going to have some sort of projectile assist. I think all of them, including Boraicho. So
Yeah, but-
I don't think there's rain from that.
Aaron and Takeda would be all projectiles, and Aaron especially would be the worst. He's Deadshot in MK, and I don't want to ever see Deadshot again.
You know, what'd actually be really
Paddle's
awesome.
cool.
Is that if Nightwolf is not the only person to do projectile reflection, like you bring up Motaro and he just stands there, and then he just goes away. He
Also,
doesn't have to do anything. They just bounce right off.
Is there anybody we want to pull off of it in favor of both of them if we can't decide?
No,
I
I'm
don't think
really-
so.
I'm
look,
really
I
okay with the way
can
that things are.
decide. I don't want Aaron to be an assist. I think that would be incredibly bad for balance.
Well, Deadshot got nerfed eventually. As a matter of fact, Deadshot's probably one of
Eventually.
the lower characters in the game now.
And there's also the possibility that cameos, much like in Marvel vs. Capcom, weren't they like you only had a certain number of them, but it wasn't the same for each one. So like if there is something that's really good, you may only get one use of it per round or match or whatever, versus some of the ones that aren't as good will get 3 or 4 uses, right?
There are ways you could limit it.
It wasn't done very well in Marvel vs. Capcom because some assists were just bad and you can only use them twice, but you have assists that were just really good, like Psylocke, and you can use them 5 times. So Capcom didn't really, they were
didn't-
throwing like a lot of
yeah.
stuff at the wall.
Yeah. But the idea there, the concept of if Aaron's doing zoner stuff, they could always just try and remedy that by making it usable less, like in a match.
I think it's easier to not pick him.
I'm
Are you
also gonna
okay?
say
So
that-
are you like super like into Aaron and defending him, or are we?
No. Well, I hate to say it, but it's not even that I'm super into Aaron. It's I super don't like Kodal. That's actually what's really going on here.
Okay,
It's
you
not
know
even-
what? You know what?
Then let's just
Because
do
we
Cicada
can't-
and call it good.
Because we
Yeah,
can't
that's
decide
fine.
what to do with Noob Cybot, but we know we'd like him to be present in some capacity. And the block disabler is like the fucking tailor-made chef's kiss choice for a cameo special move. Why not make it Noob?
Yeah, I like that better than Kodal.
Yeah, I'll take Noob. All
right, that's fine. And yeah, he can just be a mystery. We don't know what his deal is. That's fine.
Everyone wins. Good shit,
It's
Chad.
also cameos can just be non-canon anyways. I don't expect every one of them to have some great reason. Where the fuck am I putting this guy? I can't think. right now.
Before
All the way at the
Cameo
top.
Chameleon- Yeah.
All the way to
Actually,
the
yeah,
top.
he's from MK2, so he should
Yeah.
be first.
You're right. All right. So then that's that, and then that would, unless we want to change anything, that would make this simpler of just starting. the
Yeah, those
puppies.
are all just set outs.
Do.
It's a shame. I would like to see Cobra again, but you can't.
Yeah,
convince
no, I
me
agree.
of that.
Cobra is the one thing that like kind of irks me about this. I wish there was room.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm happy with this set out list, even though I really like Taven a lot. But I'm happy with this because not everyone can make it. That's just the reality. And again, as much as I love Taven, I dislike Kodal even more. So this is still a huge win for me.
Okay.
Are we good with
This
this?
is good.
Any
Yep.
adjustments to be made? So, base roster. We have, let's see, female wise. Let's see if we got a representation. Otherwise, we're gonna get flack for that. This is our list, but I'm just saying in like a hypothetical world here. We have Katana, Melina, so 2, 3 for Serena, 4 Tanya, 5 Lee May, 6 Natara, 7 Ashra. So 7 out of 25 is about.
It's about a
I
quarter.
mean, that's higher than average for a lot of fighting games.
That's pretty usual. Yeah, that's typical.
On the other hand, our cameos are the biggest sausage fest of all time, with the exception of Scarlet. So
I was about to say it was like between 1 point. It was like between 1/3 and 1/4, and that's typically what NRS games have been.
Well,
so.
I think it's better to be DLC than to be a cameo, so it's all right that that's mostly dudes.
And
yeah,
our
I mean,
DLC section has a pretty high quotient of ladies.
At least one for.
I think we did fine.
Yeah. Plus, we can count Ermac. It's a
yeah, whatever.
It's a day scenario.
Sure. Okay. Good. Trying to think of anything else. Cameo, we have good representation across from like eras. We have MK2, 3, 4, Deadly Alliance, Deception, 9X, 11. So we got something from all of them at least, except for 1, but that's because all the 1 characters are going to be represented by the end of the day.
I did want to retract something I said earlier. I would take Cobra over Darius. I didn't see Cobra hiding in the side there. So that would have been my pick if I had one more.
For what?
I mean, it ended up that Darius didn't get in anyway, so...
Yeah. We didn't put Darius in there. We put Noob. Noob is how we settled on. But, yeah, so cameos, we got a good spread, along with whoever would be just on the roster that might have a cameo as well on top of these ones. And then as far as the actual roster is looking, we don't have any representation from the NRS era. But I don't think that's so bad. I mean, we're starting over.
I consider that a plus.
I'm fine with it. I don't dislike it. I don't like it. It's a thing, A lot of the NRS characters, just by their nature, feel like from parts unknown or inherently second generation, or
well, yeah, that was the
weirdos
thing. Like,
from the Wastes.
When they introduced all those new characters in X, the idea was that they were mostly legacies.
Mm-hmm.
The game's also called MK1, so I feel like this is more than justified.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but I mean, those characters, a good chunk of them, like the Combat Kids, Aaron and Kodal and Devora, and even maybe to a slightly lesser degree, Scarlet, they had a good amount of focus put on them. So it's not that bad. Especially, I mean, we're getting cameos for some of them too. So, I mean, they're going to be there to some degree. There's that. And then, yeah, as the boss and sub-boss, we got some good 3D era potentials there, or some fun options there. And yeah, I mean, this is pretty stacked with fan favorites. You can't really argue much with this base roster. Like, even if we're delaying some of the other big favorites, like your Sonias or Jades, Ermacs, Quan Chi, Kano, to some degree, Baraka, like, there's something here for everybody on the base roster, I feel like. A lot of characters we like. In terms of including characters that we haven't had in a long time, beyond the 9 that we were already starting with, just because that's already the 9 confirmed, like, we are doing a lot to give us characters that we haven't had in a while. Plus some fan favorites that, sat out from 11, at least, like Reptile. But Smoke,
yeah,
Sector,
Reptile and Goro had it easy.
Smoke, Sector, and Cyrax. Reigns never made it on a base roster, so good for him. And then you have Serena, who's never been there, and Fujin, who could deserve that second appearance after having a good showing as DLC for how many years people asked for him. And then Tanya's always a good option, who was not in 11. Reiko, Lee May, Natara, all characters we haven't seen in forever. Havoc and Ashra, same concept. And then Kenshi, who sat out from 11 completely, who's also a pretty popular character. So yeah, I think there's a lot to love there. And then DLC, I mean, I think all those characters would make for some pretty hype DLC. So,
and some of these pictures are making me laugh. Like Reptile's like telling Jax, "Hey, you seeing this shit?" And Jax is like, "Yeah, I'm seeing this shit."
Motherfucker. Let's see you.
But yeah, this is good. I'm much happier with this than I am with the tier list.
I feel like Smoke
was
and
a
Sector
battle.
look like the angel and devil on Cyrex's shoulders.
The only thing I'm really enjoying is the fact that like Jade seems just really, really mildly annoyed by Baraka just not giving her personal space.
It's like that meme at the
Touching
baseball
you
game where
so
that guy's
you
telling that
can't
hot
get
chick like the
mad.
story and she just
Yeah,
doesn't
it
care.
was leaning way into her ear.
And if you look at Kai, he just looks like I don't know what the fuck how I managed to get into this spot, but I'm not going to say anything before they reconsider. He's like just trying to skate through. Don't say anything. They might put fucking Hotaro in the spot or some bullshit.
And even Kentaro's like, "Don't move. They can't see me."
Kentaro's like, Goro's getting the fucking base roster again.
Darius is like, okay, it looks like Darius just like said the rudest fucking thing ever to the viewer. And like the people next to him on the left are like, I cannot believe you went there. Cobra's like straight up disgusted. Dude, no.
Yeah, I never realized how shocked and angry Cobra looks in his fucking portrait.
All right, Temp. I believe you had something to follow this up with, though.
Cameos. Yeah, I just wanted to say I've seen a lot of feedback on cameos now.
Hold on, not that yet. You said something about a team element or something to choose our teams.
Oh yeah.
Figure we do that, and then we can talk cameos. But yeah.
You know the thing I said? I completely forgot I said that. So I didn't think about it at all this entire episode.
Yeah, you said have them ready, and you don't have it ready.
No, I don't have anything ready. I have a box full of things I have ready, and this is not in it. So you guys go first. Good shit.
What do you want to do? You got to introduce them.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to say everyone here can pick. Well, let's do it from this list. You pick your main, and you pick your cameo based on what I've now revised it to be from this list.
See, this is problematic for me, actually, now that we've gone in this direction. Because
we can do both. Like, there's no rules here.
Well, I was just going to say, like, we were talking before we started recording, in an ideal world, you have somebody you really love on base roster, but then you also have somebody that you enjoy in cameo, because then you can have a team that you of your favorites. In this roster scenario, I have like all my favorites that I really want on the base roster, so I don't have anybody in cameo that I'm like, this is the guy, this is the girl, whatever. Like this, nobody jumps out to me like this is my go-to. Like I so maybe it's almost like a perfect world where I got everything I wanted in base roster, but now I'm like, what the fuck do I do with the cameo?
Well, I can go first then, because I think this is a lot easier than I thought. So if we're going on this list, my main is going to be Lee May, because like even though Smoke's still always going to be my favorite character, the fact is that Lee May's been gone so long. This is assuming they do her right, and I love that gameplay style. So Lee May would be my main.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I played like 11 characters in MK11, so that's for sure. And then my assist from this list, because just as an ode to the 3D era, my assist would be Boraicho. With Shujinko going in, I like Shujinko a lot as well, but Boraicho and Lee May, I think would be really sick. So I love that deception pairing.
Shujinko as another option, yeah.
Yeah, but Shujinko would be somewhere in there. Now, ideally, I mean, this is not going to surprise anyone. Lee May is my main, Smoke is my assist, and that's my dream team. That doesn't make any sense story-wise, but actually, no, it thematically makes sense. They're both like victims in the most horrible way possible. With like Lee May had to have sex with the Dragon King. I guess that's slightly worse, but the way the Onaga puppeted Lee May, Noob Saibot kind of puppeted Smoke. So yeah, there's kind of also a double theme there. So yeah, that would be my dream team. So just to recap, from this roster, Lee May, Boraicho, dream team, Lee May, Smoke, with Smoke as the assist. So whoever wants to jump in next can jump in, or if they have any special commentary on my selections, that's also fine.
I mean, that makes sense. You're going with thematic teams with good characters. I could see it. Lee May with Bo or Shujinko as the mentor assist figure makes a lot of sense and would be really cool to see. Like you do exceptionally well at, like combining them. I think would be a lot of fun. And then for your dream team scenario, I mean, that's cool.
And one of the cool things about doing the tier list is I even after 8 years, I did not realize how much you guys liked some characters as much as y'all did. And I didn't realize how much y'all disliked some characters as much as y'all did. So even though I think everyone here, at least on some level, likes Bo Right Cho, I thought y'all liked him more. So I feel like I have to represent that character in some way now, in a way that I never felt like I was obligated to previously. So that's also very, and this is not a bad thing, but it is interesting though.
All right. Anybody have theirs ready to go?
Yeah, I'll go. So
I feel like I could guess razors, honestly. But go on.
I'm from what's on the screen here, it'll probably be Smoke and Noob or Serena and Noob. But in the real world, I highly suspect, some of the main roster will be cameos.
Sure.
So it's probably going to be like Smoke and Sub-Zero or Serena and Sub-Zero.
Cool. Yeah, those are good picks as well. Chad, you sound like you're ready.
It will absolutely be for me a team of, assuming all the playable characters have cameo equivalents, it will be a team of Sub-Zero and Smoke in verse, one way or another. They have to fight together. I'm making them fight together. It's going to happen. For shits and giggles, I would pair Ermac with Noob Saibot as an assist. If you get it, you win a cookie.
I like it.
I would also like Team Fucks with It, which would be Havoc and Noob Saibot. Dylan, you son of a bitch, I'm in. That is definitely something that's going to be happening. Who the hell else? I might swap out Rain and Baraka, just for shits and giggles. More Annihilation references.
All right. Yeah, those are fun.
I'm missing like some fucking comedy gold here. Oh yeah, Chameleons. Chameleons together. Chameleons united. Absolutely.
That would be cool.
Reiko and Motaro could be fun.
Oh, Reiko and Quan Chi. Just shitting on each other the entire fight. I've always wanted them to elaborate on that. Why they hate each other so much. Or at least why Reiko hates Quan Chi.
I think he just recognizes that Quan is a douchebag.
Yes, but
why would you not hate Quan Chi?
Honestly, I'm hoping that MK1 has a large portion of Reiko just shitting on the entire audience. Everyone. The audience, the cast, all of us. Reiko shits on all of us. Didn't mean to say audience, meant to say cast, but I'm just gonna run with it. Reiko shits on everyone. That's what MK1 is going to be. I'm playing through I'm playing through Zelda right now, and as I go through Hyrule, I get the impression that everyone is an absolute fuckwad who can't maintain basic functions in their own life, and Link hates them all. This is the way I think that Reiko sees the world.
You know what would be amazing? If he had, like, the Shao Kahn taunt, but it's like he's making observations. Like, he puts his hand on his chin and he goes, "Your fireball has too much startup, your shoes are untied, and your player is a scrub."
And that does damage over time?
Yeah.
Your zoning tactics are woefully inadequate.
That would be really cool if like Reiko had an auto parry and he's just like too slow. And that would be really sick if there was
predictable.
Like
You're still trying to Oki? Was that a 50-50?
Granblue actually has that with Belial. Belial basically just starts like doing like a catwalk towards you and laughing. And if you do anything other than to throw, he attacks you. And it will always work.
Nice.
So yeah, that would be really, I mean, not the catwalk part, but everything else would be really sick for Reiko. I also like teaming up Jax with Su Hao. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, damn. Speaking of people that hate each other.
Yeah.
Ooh, Team Kung Lao and Baraka. That's gonna be shits and giggles. Staples.
I think for me, I don't have any fun like pairings that come to mind too much, at least based on the base roster, or I mean I should say the roster in general mixed with the cameos that are listed there. But if I'm mixing and matching with who might be like have a cameo version on top of being base roster, I would love to do just my favorites in general, like Cyrax and Kenshi, Cyrax and Ashra, Kenshi and Ashra, depending how she plays. We'll see how they actually design her. But I mean, there's a lot of characters I love in this game, so I'm sure I would find something. But yeah, no tremendous thematic pairing. I guess you can do Cyrax and Kenshi slightly thematic at one point in time.
I mean, you could
Ermac
do
and
Sub-Zero and Sub-Zero, and it would be lore okay.
You know, people are going to be doing Ermac and Kenshi. That's going to be a thing that happens.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Scarlet and Nitara.
Yeah.
Just red everywhere.
All right, Temp. Now your cameo thing.
Oh, I was gonna say, a lot of people are very upset about cameos, and the logic I keep hearing is I'd rather my character be playable, but I think there's a false dichotomy at work here. I think the people who are saying that are just assuming that if their character is not a cameo, then they're going to be playable, and historically, that is just not the case. I think some characters, if they're going to come back at all, their best possible chance is a cameo. I think if you want like a chameleon, then or even like a Darius, it's just not realistic to see them come back in a playable capacity. I think that's true of even some classic characters. I think if a classic character's been fairly prevalent, I think it's more likely than unlikely they're going to be a cameo, unless they're part of like the NK1 roster. So, yeah, I think people need to switch their mindset from I want my favorite character to be playable to I get to pick two characters now, and one of those characters is more likely to be my favorite character. My favorite character now has a better chance of showing up.
Yeah, I think you should just be happy to see characters.
Like
it's a much bigger roster now.
I'm never going to get meat as a playable character. I know this. I'm not stupid. I wish it would happen. I will gladly take the cameo. And I feel the same way about like female chameleon, but again, I will take her and I will spam like their data ballots over and over with her as my only like chameleon DLC, like or like cameo roster character, I should say, if I have to. I will show the love. I will spam her to show her I'm interested. I'd love that character's DLC. Is it gonna happen? No. Will she be a cameo? Probably. Will I enjoy it? I will absolutely try to, because I know I'll probably not have another choice.
I honestly think this cameo system would have been extremely exciting to have had in like a retelling of the old games.
Seriously.
The coolest thing about the cameo system, in my opinion, is just the new models. We're going to get to see an updated.
Oh yeah. There's going to be character models for like 50 people. Yeah, maybe more.
I cannot wait to see this shit, man. The chameleons all look amazing.
That's what I was getting at earlier, like when we were first talking about them earlier in the episode, is that I think a lot of people are getting maybe too hung up on who, if they're going to be playable or not. I think there's going to be a lot of charm to the fact of just being able to see these characters reimagined in this new game. I mean, some of these characters we haven't seen like a model for in the game for nearly 20 years, or whatever. Yeah, almost 20 years since Armageddon. So that alone is worth something. Like, you can't just reuse an Armageddon model for this. Like, they have to create this character from scratch to make them like, if they're going to show up as a cameo on screen, they have to look super polished. They're not going to just be a crappy model on the screen.
And the thing is, if you're worried about like, even if your favorite character is a cameo, imagine how much artwork and attention from the community just having a model in the game gets you.
Yeah. And like we kind of laid out here, or Temp was alluding to, but just even when we were picking our team, like character that, I was having trouble looking at just our cameo list of being like, well, it's not that I dislike those characters. It's that none of them jump out to me as like a top 5 favorite. So if I had somebody on the base roster who is a top 5 favorite, and then a cameo character who is also a top 5 favorite, there's my team. I get to play those characters, like Temp was alluding to. It's being able to have now 2 characters. You're just choosing from different pools, so it's not like it doesn't need to be seen as a negative. It can be seen as a positive. It just hopefully there's somebody still on the base roster that's for you, and I would imagine there will be, you know. So there should be hopefully somebody in both pools that really excites you at the end of the day. So I think that's the much bigger win.
If you pick Cyrax and your opponent picks Cyrax, the odds of y'all having the same assist are quite low. Well, which I'll get to this in a minute, but yeah, I mean, as long as there's a plentitude of assists, this is going to be a great system, in my opinion.
It's about to be a very, very interesting and fun time for like fan artwork and shit. It's true.
I would so much rather have this than variations.
Oh yeah. I mean, everything's about execution. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but yeah, in theory, just on paper with potential wise, yeah, I agree. I think this could be, it can serve the same purpose because you can choose your cameos based on what hole is in your game, or if you want to double down on like you're already a rush down character and you want to get a rush down friendly assist to go along with it to make you ultra rush down, you can do that, or you can cover up a hole in your game and be like, look, I have a weakness to zoners or this or that. Like now you can have an assist or a cameo that can help you deal with that. So that in itself, that's basically what variations were there for, to give you different play styles.
The whole idea of variations was now you can counter pick, or you can, add something to the character you like to play that they normally wouldn't have. This does that, but it also does so many other things.
Yeah, it keeps a character having their base move set, so no longer do you have to siphon out different moves into different buckets and not be able to have all the ones you want. So you're going to have your full move set for the character. But then not only now are you not just having to make up weird things for each character to fill out 3 variations. Now you get your solid character like from head to toe. But now to get that variation flavor, it's being able to have a whole nother character. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I think
the only way that could backfire is if there's only like 7 assists in the game. If they, to me, that's a nightmare scenario.
Yeah,
because it's like the whole point of this was to make the roster bigger and make sure we got as many fan favorites as possible.
I'll be honest,
there's only like 7. That's a problem.
I wouldn't be surprised if the cameo list was bigger than the roster is.
It is absolutely, like I said, I think they're going to go full on ape shit with this. I don't think that there is, honestly, looking at this suite of ours, I really don't think there is a single character, barring maybe 1 or 2, that we'll see that we see here that is not going to be a cameo.
Yeah, it could be really optimistic and over the top to think this, but I almost think this is a way for them to do like, you remember when you were playing Deception Conquest and they were like, every single character we've ever done is running around these world maps somewhere if you can find them.
Right.
This is the modern version of that.
Yeah. It's like I said, it can be a celebration of sorts of the entire franchise's history by bringing these characters back in one way or another.
I'll say, 15. Like, I don't think it'll be bigger than that. What's up?
You are also going to get cameo APEP. I am fully confident in this. Or it's one of the two. You might even fucking get I Love Ham guy from Deception, the First Village.
I love ham.
I love ham.
So you think?
But I will say this: manage your expectations in terms of what I think cameos are going to do. There is always, always, always a certain amount of asset reuse, move property reuse. We've seen it in variations. We've seen it in fighting styles. I will not be surprised if a lot of cameo attacks manage like to wind up looking or feeling or serving the same functions as one another. Okay, but if it means we get a massive quantity of it, I'm okay with it.
As long as none of them get the Arnold and Jason low kick, you know?
The stanky leg.
Yes, the stank leg.
So, Temp, you were saying that you think 15 now. You're saying 15 base roster will get 15 to start off with.
Cameos. 15 cameos, yeah. And the reason why is I think the cameos are going to be fairly packed. I don't think these are just going to be Marvel 2 assists. They might be, but I think they're going to do a lot with these. So, and also, if they want to sell cameos in the future, I don't think they can put in too many. But if you put in less than 10, I think even 10 is cutting it pretty short. But if you have less than 10, that defeats the whole purpose of the system, in my opinion. But I think they're also going to be fairly robust. So I don't see there being, if there is more than 20, fantastic. But I don't think so. Not if they want to make money. I imagine they're going to use the system to make money.
Well, 15 to start off with, I think is a good number. I think
That's
15.
healthy. I think 15 is
yeah,
healthy.
I think 15 is kind of like erring towards what I would think is minimum of what would be acceptable, and that might be counting a few of the base roster people's cameos as well within that 15. But a 15 right out of the gate to start off with, and then we'll get more with each combat pack. We'll get a good chunk more. I think that's plenty reasonable, because at the end of the day, that means when you add up the DLC, let's say in this scenario we have 25 starting, 9 DLC that are actually going to be NK characters. So that's already 36 or 34 characters represented from the Mortal Kombat world. 34 characters. And then let's say you get another, I don't know, 16 to 20 that are uniquely cameos and not just roster people that are also doubling as cameos. This is all said and done type of scenario, I think that covers quite a bit of ground. I mean, that's going to cover at least 3/4 of the entire franchise's roster, and leaving out some of the lesser desirables. So
And when I say robust, I think the assist might even have some strings. That's how robust I think they're going to be.
I can see it. Yeah, I mean, like,
possible.
Yeah, I mean, give them variety. Like you said, if you're going to sell them and you're going to make these like the main gimmick of the game, then yeah, I feel like you have to kind of make them feel special and worth. It can't just be like the tower assist that we saw in MK11. You got to go much more in depth with it and make it feel much more of like a part of the game and unique and special in their own. Because that's also how you fight this opinion that it's a negative. Like, oh, my character is just a cameo. That's how you help fight that, by making them, the more robust you make them and more fleshed out and special feeling and feel like they have a real role and purpose in the game. You stop that by just making them feel like just a very surface level inclusion. So,
I mean, come June 8th, the assist might even have health bars for all we know. I mean, this could get crazy. Like, it's hard. It's really hard to say what they're going to do.
I think you're starting to set yourselves up for a little bit of disappointment, folks. I'm still thinking MK11 tower assists, but we'll see how things go.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's certainly possible. If that's the case, then we better get more than 7. We sure.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, there were like 50 tower assists. I just want all those characters to be in. I don't need them to have like full combos and stuff.
That's all I'm at. Like, I would not approach this like they're half of a playable character with like 6 different combo strings, their own special moves, and their own fucking fatal blows and X-rays. I think you're setting yourself up for a fall if you're assuming that. Manage expectations.
I think a healthy compromise middle ground is best case scenario, because I feel like if you do where you go in quantity over quality, then it kind of goes into that erring to that territory where it's like they're just there to show up on screen for a half second and throw out a fireball and then they disappear. And it's like that, I feel like, is less fulfilling than if they actually have a real purpose, a real, maybe they have multiple attires that you can unlock, or, they say things as they come out. They spout off lines of dialogue. Who knows? Like I said, I would like a middle ground where it's like they have some depth and special, unique nature to them, where it's not just the tower assist. So that way they actually do feel worth, like, these characters actually got some degree of limelight added to them and they serve a real purpose. But yeah, it's all about a happy middle ground. I feel like either, because if you're going down the extreme where they are like basically almost a playable character but not, then yeah, you're not going to see very many. But on the other end, I would hate to see everybody, but then like you just see their arm on screen throwing something and that's all you get. Like, that would suck too. So,
well, there's a middle position between me and Shad as well. It could truly be the Marvel 2 system, and it's where you pick Kung Lao and you pick, let's say, a Reptile Assist. And then you have a choice between, do you want Reptile to shoot acid? Do you want Reptile to shoot a bubble? Or do you want Reptile to do a dash? So they could do that. So it is robust at the select screen, and then you narrow it down to one specific tower option. I think that's also possible.
That's more the kind of thing that I'm envisioning, yes.
Knowing Ed Boon, though, I think Ed Boon wants to surprise people. And I think Ed Boon I think everything Ed Boon does is a response to boredom. He wants to try something crazy. And that's kind of what I'm using as my starting point for how I think cameos are going to turn out. So I could be wrong. But I won't lie. I'm fairly confident that assists are going to be loaded. I'm fairly confident these things are going to be more sophisticated than we think. Again, I could be wrong.
I mean, it's on the page, like it's on the web page. Like, to me, this is the thing that they're going all in on this game. It's not tag, it's not gear, it's not anything else. It's cameos are front and center of their marketing this time around. So that has to account for something, because we've had tower assists before, right? Like, they've been there. So this has to feel way more like central to the game and fleshed out than what we've ever gotten in Injustice 2 and MK11, MKX, all the times we've gotten like assist type stuff. I feel like it has to be something that they're putting front and center for a reason.
So, well, that could actually support Shad's theory, because what that could mean is it is just a tower assist, but we're getting 50 assists. That's what that could mean.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not. I don't know which is better or worse. I'd have to really sit down with that.
Like I said, I think the middle ground is the best approach. You have some degree of quality to them and depth, but it's not to the point where it's like takes so much resources and work that you do get so few of them. But on the other end of the spectrum, like I said, if it's where everybody makes it in, but they're doing hardly anything and they're essentially just like they're frivolous, they're superficial, they're just there to be a body on the screen and nothing else special about them. They don't even say their name, they don't do anything unique, or I don't know. Like I said, a middle ground where you get kind of a good balance of both sides would be ideal.
Well, I think it's easier to make an assist have a string and a health bar than it is to make 50 models. That's why I mostly agree with you. I think that the robust, like really juicy assist, but with only like 12 to 15 in the game is more likely, just because I think like a PS5 model is so much labor, that is so much dev work. That's why I'm leaning more towards that direction.
Yeah, and like I'm just saying, for me personally, let's just throw out like Kenshi or Cyrax. Like, if a character I really want in this game is a cameo and only a cameo, they don't become playable at any point, I'm going to be so much more satisfied and happy if that character feels like they're really getting fleshed out and have love put into them, and it feels like there's a great purpose of why this mechanic is here, and I'm truly getting to play like a character and a half, like you're kind of selling it as, more so than I would be if Cyrax literally just shows up, shoots a net, and then leaves, and he gets no fanfare, nothing else, and that's literally it. Like, he shows up, does a net until your meter recharges, and then you can do a net again. Like, that's, to me, that would be pretty lame, I guess. So that would be the tower assist scenario, except for I don't even think tower assist, a lot of them didn't show up on screen. So that would be the only change, is that their model actually shows up. I would want more fanfare than that, I guess, is what I'm getting at. I want it to feel like I am getting to play a character in a quarter or a character and a half, not a character with like one more special move, basically, in that scenario. So yeah,
and you gotta voice these characters too. By the way, you have to hire an actor to voice these characters. That's another reason why I don't think we're getting tower assists.
I hope so. Like, I hope they have voices. I hope they have lines. You know, when Cyrax comes out and shoots his net or does a combo string, he's making his Cyrax noise, or he's talking shit. Like, if you have Jax come in as a cameo, he pops in there and does like the gotcha, and he starts slamming their face in multiple times, and then, you know, or Kano, he comes in and spits on him and says some quick little quip or something. Like, that would be cool.
I guess you could have Phil Lamar voice all the cameos.
I'm just happy to have, like, the more cameos, the more people there are who get scenes in story.
Sure. But from that point of view, I mean, see, that's tough, because I feel like we're not going to get a ton from the get-go, and if for them to be in story, outside of like a story expansion, which I do think, I don't see why we wouldn't get that, something like that again.
I mean, it could very well, like, Aftermath could become a trend, and I would like to see that.
Yeah, and at that point, I think that's when we'll get, like, you know, another healthy dose of cameos. We'll get, between base launch, let's say we start off with like 10 to 15 unique cameos that aren't just, you know, shared by the playable characters. then by the time we get to Combat Pack 1 and then Aftermath, let's say if we follow the same kind of trend, then we'll have another 10 to 15 characters added on top of that are cameos. And then that would set up your story expansion where all these characters also show up. So I think there's a way where everybody can be happy. And like I said, the truth is that the reasonable compromise is somewhere in the middle, like not riding on either edge. They don't have to be extremely fleshed out, but I would hope that they're not minimally fleshed out either. I think getting all said and done out of the like 80 characters in the franchise, getting at least 60 of them represented in the game, I think would be great. I think that's easily doable. 60, 65 even, I would say. And that's a huge win, because that means we're only missing really out on 15, and we could probably easily pick 15 characters that, like we have here. I mean, we picked more than 15 characters that can sit out. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the idea.
Oh, that made me think of something, actually. Another reason why I'm very optimistic, I don't want to say very optimistic. One reason why I have a lot of positive predictions for the Cameo system is that tells me this game is going away from the paradigm of less combos. That if you have an assist system, that makes me think they're going back to a combo-heavy Mortal Kombat. That's the impression I get. I could be extremely wrong, but I don't think you would have assists in a game that doesn't lead to combo links. That would be very, very strange to me. So I feel like we're getting further away from Breakaway with this mechanic, but we'll see.
That is very much the thing that I've missed, and that's an excellent point.
You're Agreed. Right. Amen.
Yeah.
More combos, please.
All right. Anything else to add on to this, or do we want to wrap this up? Sounds like we're good.
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, it covers everything.
Well, all will be revealed, so we'll only have to wait a week and a day, basically. Next Thursday is when we'll at least get the gameplay reveal trailer and all that stuff that they're going to show off at Summer Games Fest. And I would assume, even if it's only like a 5 to 10 minute demonstration, whatever it ends up being, I would assume they're going to follow up with a combat cast pretty quickly after, like they did with the MK11 reveal. They'll probably tee it up, and we'll start really learning a lot about this game in very quick time. So that being said, thanks everybody for tuning in and checking out how we would build out the roster from this point forward before we know anything else. And hopefully you enjoyed the listen. And like I said, all will be revealed soon at least, and we'll have a greater idea within a week of what's in store for cameos and maybe even more character reveals and the most important, gameplay. What is this game going to look and play like? We will be able to have those answers in a week. So yeah, well, next time you hear from us on the podcast, we will be covering that. I'm assuming we'll do some sort of reaction stream or record later that night after the Summer Games Fest for next week's episode. So take care, everybody. Hopefully this helped ease the weight on the gameplay reveal. So we're almost there. Anyways, take care.
In the meantime, enjoy Street Fighter 6.
Yep.
I know. I will. I'm going to make Shujinko.
I'm going to make a monstrosity.
Of course you are.
Yes, I am. It's going to be great.
Piss zero.
Enjoy your fucking Cronenberg.
Oh, yes. I am going full HP Lovecraft.
And you know what? I don't even need to make a... Oh, what's up?
No, go on.
Well, I don't even need to make a monstrosity for the main roster because they already did that with Blanca, so I'm covered.
Oh, yeah.
This is true.
Guys look great.
But I'm still going to, take the route of, doing things that would give Yuri nightmares. You think 12's creepy? You ain't seen nothing yet.
I'm excited.
I just like to make human beings in creation modes, all right?
I mean, even if I
did later,
that,
nerds.
Vote.
Have a nice day, folks.
Vote in the poll as well that I put in the description of this, as well as join our Discord community. Come hang out. But yes, see you later.
Yeah, you stay classy, San Diego.
So you said you cheesesteak classy San Diego.
Cheesesteak San Diego.
Now I'm hungry.